Okay, Israel. Thank for tuning in. Hope everybody is doing well today. Shout out Cabo in Guatemala and his congregation from California to Georgia. Also, shout out to Stream of Wisdom, Kazakia in Houston. In VA. Stream of Wisdom, Houston.
Rochester?
Houston, Quatazat. And Stream of Wisdom, Rochester, Zion. I hope your brothers are doing well today. Hope everybody is doing well today. What we're going to go into now, for the last few weeks, we've been really heavy on Ezra and the book of Ezra, the second book of Ezra. First book of Ezra. And going and trying to get a little bit of history on Ezra's time, okay? And I just didn't feel it was necessary to keep going heavily into Ezra because it was a whole lot of prophecy. It was second Ezra, but it was a whole lot of prophecy, and I thought it would have took away from the history lessons we were supposed to be doing and maintaining on Sabbath.
There's a time for end time prophecy.
Yeah, we'll go into that and go through the entire gambit of it.
Yeah.
When the time is sufficient. But for now, we're going to go into Nehemiah. So we're going to go into the history of Nehemiah. And actually, Ezra and Nehemiah are co-inhabiting each other around the same time. Historically, they say Nehemiah started his campaign to come back down to Israel around 14 years after Ezra made his time and entering in the scene in Israel. So there's not a big difference in time. It's the same king, Artaxerxes, who was merciful and patient with us and allowing the first campaign of reinstituting and resetting up the teaching and financing the temple sacrifices. And then he came back down again and he allowed Nehemiah to sit back and help reconstruct the wall. Well, before we go into the tales and the story about Nehemiah's courage and leadership skills, leadership ability, and how he galvanized Israel together, we want to kind of start off and talk about in the Josephus the conditions of Israel even after Ezra came down and helped try to get Israel closer to the Most High again. Even though Ezra did that, the people were still in dire straits. They were still in difficult conditions, and they needed the additional help that Nehemiah and the people that were with him brought to the table. Keep this in mind. Before Nehemiah comes down here, Israel was defenseless. They had all their walls were broken down, and it was easy to maneuver through the north of Israel, the south of Israel, the east and the west. So they were completely vulnerable to all the nations and all their enemies that were around them. And we're going to go into quickly and explain what was happening to the people when they were defenseless and had no walls and surrounding boundaries around them. Okay, first verse we're going to go into is, not verse, we're going to Josephus. Let's go to Josephus, book 11.
We're just going to send the prayers up.
Oh, I'm tripping. Salak, I did all that talking. I didn't do no prayers. That's horrible. Okay, just us. I guess I'm not going to do all that prep we go into, all right?
Yeah, it's okay.
Well, not yet, sis. We're going to start off and then we'll bring everybody up. Okay. Barak Atah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai.
Barak Atah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai.
Ha-ha-wa-ah. Nothing Lanawa. Awar. Zayawam. Thawada. Aman.
Bless you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai that gives to us light this day. Thank you. So be it.
Okay. Barak Atah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai.
Barak Atah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai.
Ha-ha-wa-ah. Nothing Lanawa. Rayach. Nayachacha. Thawada. Aman.
Bless you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai that gives to us sweet savor. Thank you. So be it.
Okay. Imagine Wapanya Yerushalayim.
Stand and face Jerusalem.
Barakatha Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai.
Barakatha Yahweh Hashem Yahushai.
Hahawa'ah.
Nathanael.
Hashabbat. Ba'Shalom. The water. Aman.
Bless you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai that gives to us the Sabbath in peace. Thank you, so be it.
Okay. Psalms 121. Anasha, Ayanyamya, Haharyam, Ma'aya, Yabu'a, Isaiah, Yabu'a, Ma, Yahweh, Sha'aisha, Shemayim, Wa'aratiza, La'a, Yonathan, Lamawat, Regalia, Yala'a, Nawam, Shashamaya, Hana, Yala'a, Nawam, Wala'a, Yeshan, Shashawamar, Yasharala, Yahweh, Shemoya, Yahweh, Tazalia, Ayo, Yanyamya, Yad, Hashemash, Yala'a, Hakaya, Bayawam, Wala'a, Halabana, Balayala, Yahweh, Yashmoya, Makol, Right, Yashmor, Napasha, Yahweh, Yashmor, Hawalakia, Wabu'aya, Ma'aitha, I will Aman.
Psalms 121 in English. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from Yahweh, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Yasha'Allah shall neither slumber nor sleep. Yahweh is thy keeper. Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Yahweh shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in for this time forth, and even forevermore. Aman.
Israelite Credo. Shema Yasharala, Yahweh, Eloheinu, Yahweh, Echad. Shema Yasharala, Yahweh, Eloheinu, Yahweh, Echad. Shema Yasharala, Yahweh, Eloheinu, Yahweh, Echad.
All right, Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our power is one Lord.
Okay. Lord's Prayer. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Haya, Shemka, Yahweh, Malak Wathka, Thaba'ah, Ratazaka, Haya, Aisha, Baratiza, Kawa, Haya, Bashemayim, Natalanawa, Lachom, Ko, Yawam, Wasalachanawa, Chawathinawa, Kasalachanawa, Chawathinawa, Wala'ah, but aside one, Abo, Hawashayanawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ara, Wahathapa'arat, La'ai Mulamyam. Amen.
Lord's Prayer in English. Matthew chapter 6, verse 9. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Amen. Ten Commandments. La'ayahayim, Laka, Alahayim, Achayim, Ayo, Panya.
Thou shalt have no other powers before me.
Number 2. La'a, Tha'ina, Laka, Fasal, Wala'a, Tha'ibadam.
Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, nor serve them.
Number 3. La'a, Thalach Wachat, Sham, Yahweh, Bashawa.
Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy power in vain.
Number 4. Zakar, Hayawam, Hashabbat, La Kodashwa.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
Number 5. Kabad, Abaka, Ya'amaka.
Honor thy father and thy mother.
Number 6. La'a, Tharatiza.
Thou shalt not kill, murder.
Number 7. La'a, Thana'a.
Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Number 8. La'a, Thagana.
Thou shalt not steal.
Number 9. La'a, Tha'ina. Shakwar.
Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor.
Number 10. La'a, Thachamad. Ko, Asherah. Laraika.
Thou shalt not covet anything which is thy neighbor's.
Rakata Yahweh Shem Yahushai.
Rakata Yahweh Shem Yahushai.
Ahawa up. Nithananawa. Athawara.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai that gives to us the law.
Israel Yeshavim.
Everybody seated.
Okay, now we can get back to it. So, like I was saying earlier, we're at the time of Nehemiah. Ezra's time, Nehemiah's, and also we're going to read about Malachi, the prophet, were operating around the same time of each other. Ezra got to Israel 14 years before Nehemiah ends up showing up. And like Shamshwan had mentioned earlier, everything started with Zerubbabel being allowed to bring him. He was the captain of the people, and as many Israelites had wanted to come to get to Israel in the first place. That was the first time when Cyrus the Great, the first king of Persia, at least the first king of their empire, commissioned Israel to come back to their land and repopulate and re-inhabit the location. As we read, a lot of Israelites didn't come. And the ones who did had a lot of travail and challenges while they first came down there. The first goal was to come back down, re-establish the city, and then establish the temple. Rebuild the temple. And they caught hell trying to rebuild the temple. And it took Cyrus's time, Cambyses' time, I think his name is Cambyses II, or Cambyses I, another short king, a king that lasted maybe a few days or a few months. Then we went into King Darius. And once King Darius came in, that was when he allowed the finances to come down to rebuild the temple and finish it out. Once King Darius was in his reign, then we had Xerxes. And during the time of Xerxes was when the time of Ezra. Esther. Yes, it was Esther. And that time came in. And then after the time of Esther came through, then we came back around with Ezra, trying to spiritually reform the people. Now we're here with Nehemiah, and he's trying to build their defenses up to protect themselves from their enemies. This was a very long process that started in 538 BC, and presently we're around 444 BC. Okay? Shalom everybody online. Hope everybody's doing well today. But so with all that beginning, communication started, let's get to the Antiquities of the Jews in the Josephus, book 11, chapter 5, paragraph 6. Book 11, chapter 5, paragraph 6. And we're going to read the beginning portion of it to just get a feel of the situation, get a feel of what's happening in the city, get a feel of how bad things have degenerated. Or the funny thing is, it might not be how things have degenerated, it's how things have been since we got there in 538 BC. Okay? Because I think I put the verse in there. Even when we were sitting back here and rebuilding the temple, there was drama and stress amongst us and the nations.
Yeah, even when the Most High had commissioned Ezra to go back to Jerusalem, he had already, when he got there, he had already found out that there had been a massive intermingling amongst the nations.
Intermingling is one thing. There was a lot of violence that was happening to the people, and it was briefly talked about also in the book of Ezra also. But we'll go into that in a little bit.
We discussed the Assyrian reliefs that historically depicted this, so you could get a visual, sighting of the situation.
Yeah, so Josephus breaks it down, and then we're going to go back to Ezra and other verses that explain how bad things were because we didn't have a wall. That's why we're going into this. There was no wall, and you will sit back and say, what's the significance of having to have a wall? Why was that so important? So, let's get paragraph 6. Let's start off Qur'an. Let's get you saluted in.
Koraya, Shah Shabbatah, Bana Shah, Banya Sha'ala.
Koraya, Shah Shabbatah, Bana Shah, Banya Sha'ala. And Majid. Right? Yahweh Hashem Yahshua B'Gatam.
Yahweh Hashem Yahshua B'Gatam.
Yes, what's up? All right. Sit back here and just. So let's read this, sir.
Okay. Antiquity of the Jews, Book 11, Chapter 5, Paragraph 6, page 296. And it reads, Now there was one of those Jews who had been carried captive, who was a cupbearer to King Xerxes.
Now, a lot of times there is a discrepancy about which king was actually in power during the time of Ezra and Nehemiah's emergence in power. Historically, Xerxes was the one that was going to battle with the Greeks, which would have tied him into the time of Esther. And historically, Artaxerxes would have been the person that was in power at this particular time. So we go with Artaxerxes, but it's not like this is an easy way to explain this, because whether it's Artaxerxes or Xerxes, both of those kings had extended reigns or had a long stretch of power. Artaxerxes had a longer stretch, along with King Darius had long stretches in power. So let's just say, for explanation's sake, this was Artaxerxes, during Artaxerxes' time, and Nehemiah was the individual that was the cupbearer to King Artaxerxes. Now, to be a cupbearer for the king was a great honor. That's first and foremost. For Nehemiah to even be put into a position of being the cupbearer for Artaxerxes, he must have commanded trust, respect, and he was allowed to be that close to the king. So he must have put in work to even be allowed to be that person. And also, as we read about Nehemiah's character, he had the capacity or the ability to serve the person that was over him faithfully, wholly, truly, and serve the Most High and make the Most High his priority. I think that is a great lesson that we have repeatedly explained here. Whether it was Nehemiah, whether it was Daniel, whether it was Joseph, we can sit back here and obey the Most High and stay in order with the powers that be at the same time. Even though we don't seem to get that. We seem to stumble on that concept. But you can do both. And the Most High honored these men repeatedly. Hell, even Ezra. Ezra was loved by Artaxerxes, respected enough to get the financing to go down there and rebuild and help his people out. So there's a repeated list of Israelites that stayed in order with the people that were over them and maintained their integrity with the Father.
And the point of bringing this out is that Israel needs to have the ability to function in a society. That's the point. King Solomon's reign showed that. King Solomon had the ability to function with different nationalities, different nations, and us retain and remain and keep
and maintain
respect.
Our spiritual integrity.
Yeah, we don't have to, all of a sudden we're around Moab and we just turn into a different personality. I'm not going to go there. But we can't shift. We have to stop shifting when we're around different nations and lose our
getting
culture.
Overly emotional. Exactly.
We are a culture. I'm not trying to sound like a bad guy, but we're culture losers, bro.
Or
as soon as you're around somebody, now you're that personality.
Or we're so extreme that we roll cruel and overly emotional around these nations. We have to be able to operate and be comfortable in our own biblical spiritual skin.
Yeah.
And not be so quick to want to be like the nations, and then not be so quick to operate emotionally and out of pocket to these nations.
And also, you know, a lot of times, especially during slavery, you look at our people. When we got next to the master in the big house, we start looking down on the people around us.
Exactly.
And start becoming very cold-hearted and cold-natured to the ones that weren't allowed in the big house.
God.
Yep.
You know, so to speak.
And that wasn't supposed to be the case either. Like the dude in Django.
Oh,
Nobody wants to be that guy. Guy,
There's a
listen,
difference.
he played a great role.
God.
He played one of the greatest roles ever. That look, it was the look out of pure hatred act for his own kind act.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can go over numerous scenes about the horses, the gnats. I was like, man, this guy is playing his role. But anyway, we're going to get back on the topic at hand. So, Nehemiah was the cupbearer. He was the cupbearer of King Artaxerxes. He had high position in his empire. Read on. That was one of the top 4 non-Persian to be in. Okay? Read on.
Now there was one of those Jews who had been carried captive, who was a cupbearer to King Xerxes.
So it got to the point where he was born and raised in Shushan, which is in Persia. We kept getting dispersed and extended and further out. And the sad thing is, when the Most High allowed us to go into captivity to Babylon, the Most High anticipated us to go all back home. But when we got out there, we just kept going further and further out. Just like the 9.5 tribes did. We left and just kept reaching and extending out further and further away and getting more disconnected to our homeland.
Until we completely forgot.
And to where we forgot who we were, and Israel in Jerusalem stopped even classifying those people as Jews. Which gives us more understanding as to why all of our people were referred to as Gentiles that were scattered throughout these other countries. There were many of our people in Persia, all the way through times of Christ. But anyway, I want to stay in this pocket though. Let's continue. Read it from the top again.
Come. Now there was one of those Jews who had been carried captive, who was a cupbearer to King Xerxes. His name was Nehemiah. As this man was walking before Susa.
That means he was walking before Susa, is Shushan, which is the capital city of the Persian and Mede Empire, of Persia. Read on.
The metropolis of the Persians.
The metropolis.
Oh,
it was the metropolis of the Persians, meaning the major city of the Persian Empire. Read on.
The metropolis of the Persians. He heard some strangers that were entering the city after a long journey, speaking to one another in the Hebrew tongue.
So he's walking around the city doing his thing, and he sees these strangers speaking in Hebrew, a language that he knew because he was a Jew. Okay, read on.
So he went to them and asked from whence they came. And when their answer was that they came from Judea, he began to inquire of them again in what state the multitude was.
So he's trying to find out what's going on in the city. How are things going in Judea? I haven't been there. Are people doing okay? Are they getting themselves together? Is the city reestablishing itself? Okay, continue.
And in what condition Jerusalem was.
So he wants to know, how was Jerusalem looking? I heard the temple is back together. I heard Ezra came back down there and did his thing. Now Jews is cutting off they foreign wives. At least temporarily. Hopefully this thing is continuing. Read on.
Line 161. And when they replied that they were in a bad state, for that their walls were thrown down to the ground.
He said, obviously the walls had been thrown to the ground.
Yeah.
The walls were thrown to the ground in 586 BC. Okay? Now to be specific, I wasn't going to bring this part out, but I might as well at least do this to start. Give me a half a second. Because the walls were originally approximately like 40 feet high. The walls were 40 feet high and 7 to 11 feet thick.
Wow.
So these were some big, air quote, impenetrable walls that got smashed. And I think I have the picture still. That is a large area of ground to cover to establish a 40-foot high wall ranging this entire city. And then 7 to 11 feet thick. That is a massive job. That's a massive responsibility. That's a lot of work that it would take to set up the structure of this wall to even get rebuilt. So they said this whole structure was broken down. And it was easy access to get from the north, south, east, and west. Okay? This is what he's saying the condition of Israel is. So, read that part again, sir.
It said, line 161. And when they replied that they were in a bad state, for that their walls were thrown down to the ground, and that the Yeah, kind of. It says, and the neighboring nations did a great deal of mischief to the Jews.
So he says the neighboring nations. Let's think about the neighboring nations to the Jews. You had Edom, you had Ammon, you had Moab to the east, Tyre and Philistia to the west. You had Syria to the northeast. You had the Arabians at the south. You had enemies all around us. Enemies all around us that meant us nothing but harm. Okay? Hold this and go to Psalms 83. Verse 1 through 18.
1 through 18. Come.
Let me get there real quick, sir.
Come.
Psalms 83, verses 1 through 18. Let's read that.
Psalms chapter 83 and verse 1. Keep not thou silence, O Yahweh, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Yahweh. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult.
Listen, this has been a scenario that Israel has been facing from the time of David, from before the time of David. As soon as we sat back here and left Egypt and started our trek in the wilderness for the 40 years, and then worked ourselves to the east of the Jordan, and we encountered Moab, we encountered Edom, we encountered Midian, we encountered Ammon. All those countries we encountered initially before we crossed over the Jordan and went to our land, and then fought all those Canaanites and those Philistines. This has been an issue. Okay? Read on.
Come. Verse 2. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
The enemies are making a tumult. They're sitting back here and causing trouble. They're causing contention. They're causing stress. Read on.
Verse 3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
Part of what they've done, whether they did frontal attacks, whether they sat back here and did they attacked by different raids of soldiers, because during different times they used different tactics to attack our people. During the time of the judges, they would sit back here and wait until the time of reaping with our agriculture, with our fruits and vegetables, something like that. They would sit back here and come and raid the farming districts and take everybody's crops. Then they'd go about their business.
To the point where the people had to live in caves.
Live in caves in fear of what they were going to do when they came down there. So whether they went and straight attacked our food supply, or as we read about these nations, what they were doing in Ezra and Nehemiah, how when everybody in the area were vassal states, they would sit back here and cozy up and become governors to the high honchos of different countries, whether it's the Persians, the Greeks, the Babylonians, and they would sit back here and thwart any of our attempts to progress in the area. Like, for instance, the Samaritans, which were really Persians by nature, sat back here and wrote letters to King Cambyses, which was the son of Cyrus, and petitioned him to not allow the construction of the temple to continue because of the Jews' history of rebellion. So there's always been political maneuvers, full frontal war attacks, sly, sneaky plans to circumvent anything we were trying to establish in the region.
To acquiesce resources.
This has been happening.
Like it is today.
Resources and dominance and control. And they constantly wanted to sit back and have their hand in construction, resources, anything they can get their hands on in the region to keep our people subservient. Those were the tumults and the crafty counsels that the nations had been working on from the beginning of time. Let's continue.
Psalms chapter 83 and verse 3.
It's 82. Oh yeah, it is 83. Slacky. Continue.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thine hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation.
Now we understand what this is talking about. A lot of times this chapter in 83 is talking about Israel likes to focus on just the United Nations and how the rest of the world is against us. And that's true. But to keep it in context at the time, they were trying to keep us from us reestablishing ourselves as a nation from the time that David was wiping all these nations out. Solomon sat back, had jurisdiction over them. Ever since that reign, they kept trying to find opportunities to have a stranglehold over the region.
Yeah.
All these nations have been fighting and plotting to get power in the area.
And they're enemies to our independence.
Yep. Even when during the time of when we fell in 586 BC and the walls were burnt down, you had Ammon coming in here trying to sit back here and wipe out the people that Jeremiah was staying with. They were doing little wars and side attacks this entire time. What were you going to say, sir?
No, the nations are anti our independence.
God.
As well are we.
Yep, because they know if we're in power, guess who's losing?
Exactly.
They're losing.
They don't want to see here.
Let's not act like, oh yeah, the Jew is going to sit back and take care of the Philistia and Tyre.
Listen, bro.
And the concerns of the Ammonite kingdom.
The nations are against us being dominant.
Hell yeah.
In any kind of industry, in any kind of field.
Listen, don't forget what David did to Moab, right?
Yeah.
He killed 2 of every 3 soldiers. How you think that felt?
He broke their numbers.
They had a bad day. That was a bad week.
And even when Solomon was king, all the nations had menial jobs. They had low base level jobs.
Yeah.
He didn't give them any authority in the kingdom or any jobs that had any notoriety.
And you know what they were doing? They were giving up a lot of their gross domestic product. The GDP was going to Israel out.
Yeah.
No.
Everybody talks about the glory of Solomon and all these wines and grains and fruits and all this stuff coming to him. He was winning. Somebody was losing. Somebody was sitting back here and losing half of their crops every year, while Solomon was smiling. Right? And that's fine. That's what it's supposed to be. But let's not act. It's not going to be like retribution. Remember Solomon owed Hiram some money, and he gave him some really bad land in return.
They said, what manner of sin is this, my brother? That's what the scripture
And
says.
Hiram was like, he wanted some kind of dog, you know what deal is this? But he had to sit back and smile because he was Solomon, because he would lose in a fight. He says, what is this? Is this the kind of gift?
What manner of cities are these, my brother?
What manner of cities are these, my brother?
He gave him like...
That's a nice way of saying this is a bull crap deal.
Yeah.
I wanted my bread, and you gave me these crap cities that I can't grow nothing on.
Yeah, he gave him like those oil towns out there that we cut through.
Or you drive like Pecos, Texas. There's nothing going on in Pecos, Texas. There's like 2 filling stations, and they're called filling stations.
Yeah.
They're filling stations, and there's a lot of damn dust and dirt and cacti.
Yeah.
That's what you get.
There's no glory behind it.
You're welcome. And like there were houses there. Now they're abandoned houses, and nobody's even squatting. Nobody's going to Pecos, Texas to squat houses out there. It's that bad and it's that hot. You just pray you don't drive in the middle of the night and you clunk out there.
Yeah.
That's when you're in real trouble.
It's a bad day.
Anyway, point is, those are the kind of properties Solomon gave Tyre, and he had to deal with that. But that was also Israel's glory days. That was us on top. Okay? So now, if the nations have their opportunity, they're not going to let Israel get back on top from the beginning into the present day. So, read verse 4.
Psalms 83 and verse 4. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
So now it's gone beyond just geopolitical maneuvering and positioning for power and resources. They want to wipe Israel off the map. And what they want to do, they want to make sure that Israel never reemerges again. And the only way to make sure Israel never reemerges is to take away their belief in the Heavenly Father. This is why earlier, when Zerubbabel was trying to reestablish the temple, they didn't want that temple established, because that was that power center and that foundational place that everybody gathered themselves around and rallied themselves around. And going back to that temple kept everybody at least tuned in spiritually. And if you can keep them tuned in spiritually, Israel has a chance to reemerge and be back in power. The nations understood this too. And if you go to Judith 5, Judith 5 talks about that too. The nations knew that as long as the Most High was on their side, they couldn't be beat. So this was an issue the nations knew from the beginning. So let's continue. Verse 5, sir.
Verse 5. For they have consulted together with one consent.
And all the nations, whether it's Moab, Ammon, Edom, Tyre, Samaria, which was like, Samaria is a major player in the region at this time. The country of the Samaritans, we're going to go into it today, they originate from the Persians from years back. And they halfway acknowledge the laws of the Most High, but they know that we're enemies and we're natural enemies. And they were directly north of us. So the Samaritans, Edom, Moab, Ammon, Tyre, Philistia, Syria. They're all in that direct area, along with the Arabians at the south. Okay, so let's continue. Read verse 5 again.
Verse 5. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee.
All these nations have come together to make sure that we're stifled. Read on.
The tabernacles of Edom.
We know Edom's against us. Read on.
And the Ishmaelites.
And the Ishmaelites. Read on.
Of Moab.
The Ishmaelites we know are the Arabs. Of Moab, I'm not going to sit back and say who Moab is, because whoever says it really can't prove it. Read on.
And the Hagarenes.
Hagarenes are family and kin of the Ishmaelites, of the Arabs. They are the family of Ishmael. Hagarenes or Hagar.
Yeah.
Okay. Read on.
Gabal and Ammon.
Ammon and Moab are to the east of Judea. Read on.
And Amalek.
Amalek. The crazy thing is, even though Amalek comes from Edom, even here, the nations in the world understood that Amalek operates different and separate from Edom.
Like it is today.
Just like it is today. Amalek operates completely opposite of Edom. This is why Amalek now calls Edom Goyim.
Yeah.
Listen.
The new would know who Amalek is, though.
Huh?
Most people don't know.
We've gone over class about Amalek, man. Amalek is people who are fighting the Lebanese right now in Hamas. How about that? Amalek is the ones fighting Hamas in an unfair fight.
They on all the TV shows.
Yeah, they own media, propaganda.
Yeah. They own it all. Let's go.
Yes, that's enough. That's enough hints. Enough spoilers. So, but the funny thing is that they even acknowledge that they're not literally connected to Edom. We understood it. They understood it. Read on.
Okay. The Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre.
So he says the Philistines are the ones who are to our direct west. Tyre and Zidon is northwest of us. Okay? Tyre and Zidon, once they got defeated and wiped out by the Greeks, once what's his name? Alexander came down and wiped out Tyre and Zidon, they end up becoming, their stronghold became Carthage. Okay? So Carthage was already becoming a stronghold at this particular time
and these
during
are
Nehemiah.
Of the Philistines, right?
No, Tyre and Zidon, they were north of the Philistines. Okay? And once Tyre got wiped out and they became a vassal to Greece, Carthage carried them. And this is what Ezekiel 28 talks about. It's the fall of literally Carthage or Tyre and Zidon. Okay? And the Romans took out Carthage and wiped them out and took them off the map. Okay? It was just a prophecy about Tyre. Okay? But anyway, what am I saying? All these countries around them have been confederate to take us down from the beginning. And I'm only going to Psalms 83 to explain that this mindset
has been there.
It's been there, and it's what's happening at this particular time with the affairs of Judea. Read on.
Verse 8. Assur also is joined with them.
Assyria is joined in confederation with the rest of these nations, and we understand that too. Assyria wiped us out. So the Assyrians were there with us, or against us, Read on.
They have opened the children of Lot. Selah.
Okay.
I got it.
I know the sister's asking about who is Amalek, man.
Yeah.
Oh, you?
I got it. I'll do it.
Okay. We're gonna give the answers, sis. I'm just trying to listen. YouTube's been kind of giving us some hard times, man. So we got to kind of be cool. We really got to be cool. And I don't want to deal with those 4-letter guys. They might really come at us. Assur. Matter of fact, Assur is Syria, not even Assyria. Assur is Syria. Okay? Assur is Syria, and Syria is directly to our northeast. And Syria has given Israel problems for many a years. Okay, so Assyria also is joined with them. They have holpen the children of Lot. Okay, read on.
Verse 9. Do unto them as unto the Midianites.
He says, do unto them as unto the Midianites. Read on.
As to Sisera.
Mm-hmm.
As to Jabin.
Stop. No, read on.
At the brook of Kasan.
Stop. Hold this. No, let me read verse 10.
Verse 10. Which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth.
This story, verse 9 and 10, goes back to Judges. Okay? Give me Judges chapter 4, verse 14. 4, verse 14 through 22. How you going to do that? Okay, you going to tell me. Okay. Judges 4, verse 14 to 22, because what we're going into, this is the time of Judges when, what's the sister's name? Deborah. It was Deborah was the judge at the time, and she directed Barak in the fight against the Midianites, okay? And to Sisera, if I'm not mistaken, Sisera was the head captain of the Midianites at the time that got wiped out. So, Judges chapter 4, verse 14. Let's read this. Yeah, right.
Judges chapter 4, verse 14. And Deborah said unto Barak, Up, for this is the day in which the Most High had delivered Sisera into thine hand. And not the Most High gone out before thee?
Is not the Most High. Is not the Lord.
Is not the Lord gone out before thee?
Read on.
So Barak went down from Mount Tabor, and 10,000 men after him. And the Most High discomfited Sisera, and all his chariots, and all his host, with the edge of the sword before Barak.
So what the Most High is, what David is praying for and asking, is that the Most High will look after Israel and all the constant threats that are around us, like he did for us against the Midianites during the time of Judges. Read on.
So that Sisera lighted down off his chariot and fled away on his feet.
So what ended up happening is Sisera and his military cohorts got wiped out, to the fact that Sisera had to run and leave and run off foot to escape capture and death himself. Read on.
Verse 16. But Barak pursued after the chariots and after the host unto Harosheth of the Gentiles. And all the host of Sisera fell upon the edge of the sword, and there was not a man left. Howbeit.
So Barak went to the land of the Gentiles to escape the Israelites pursuing him. Read on.
Verse 17. Howbeit Sisera fled away on his feet to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite.
These Kenites, little did he know, had been following Moses this entire time. These Kenites were part of that peaceable multitude that followed and made an oath to follow the Hebrews wherever they went.
Yeah.
And these Kenites were the ones who were there with us, if I'm not mistaken, all the way down to Jeremiah, when Jeremiah used these people's example of how these nations served the Most High better than the Jews. Okay? So there was a certain group of nations that supported Israel through and through. And this family of the Kenites were one of those also. So this woman, Jael, let this man come in and drink some milk. Why is milk? It's hot out. He's sweating. He's drinking milk. But let's keep going. Let's read.
Well, the guy get full, right?
I think she had milk because it put him down to sleep.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but let's keep reading.
God. Howbeit, Sisera fled away on his feet to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite. For there was peace between Jabin, the king of Hazor, and of the house of Heber the Kenite.
But the Kenite also was with us. Read on.
And Jael went out to meet Sisera and said unto him, Turn in, my lord, turn in to me, fear not. And when he had turned in unto her into the tent, she covered him with a mantle. And he said unto her, Give me, I pray thee, a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. And she opened a bottle of milk and gave him drink and covered him.
I don't know how milk quenches thirst. It does not. It's gonna make you extra thirsty. But that milk knocked him out. Read on.
Yeah, it says milk right here. Milk contains tryptophan, an amino acid that helps the brain produce serotonin and melatonin.
So she knew milk put you to sleep. Okay.
Smart. It says
and I don't know about you've heard like when you have an upset stomach,
yeah,
and you can't go to sleep. There's an old remedy about boiling milk,
yep.
Warming up milk and drinking it.
God.
You warm up milk, you'll go to sleep.
Yep.
So that's a real thing. Read on.
Verse 20. Again he said unto her, Stand in the door of the tent, and it shall be, when any man doth come and inquire of thee, and say, Is there any man here? That thou shalt say no. Then Jael, Heber's wife, took a nail of the tent, and took a hammer in her hand, and went softly unto him, and smote the nail into his temple.
Man, listen, that's what he was. He had visions of sugar plums dancing in his head. He's like this, and all of a sudden you wake up to like, you're out of here. Anyway,
yeah.
That's a bad way to go.
Yeah,
that's a bad way to go. But let's keep going.
For our people, though.
Exactly. Read on.
God. And smote the nail into his temples, and fastened it into the ground.
That means she sat back and went through all the way to the ground and locked his head to the ground.
Couldn't get up out of it.
He was dead. It wasn't like he was going to get up out of that. Listen, whatever it was, the people had to pry out that nail out of the ground.
A bad day for him, man.
But let's keep going.
God. It says, For he was fast asleep and weary, so he died. And behold, as Barak pursued Sisera, Jael came out to meet him, and said unto him, Come, and I will show thee the man whom thou seekest.
I took this guy out. Read on.
And when he came into her tent, behold, Sisera lay dead, and the nail was in his temple.
So, read on.
So the Most High subdued on that day Jabin, the king of Canaan, before the children of Israel.
So listen. So the Most High was victorious against Jabin, the king of Canaan. So let's go back to verse 9 in Psalms 83, 9 and 10.
Psalms chapter 83 and verse 9. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin.
He says, do unto them as the Midianites and to Jabin, the king of the Canaanites. That same region of enemies. He said, wipe out these Canaanites, wipe out these Midianites. Do it like you did in the time of Judges. Read on.
As to Jabin at the brook of Kasan, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Make their nobles like Oreb and like Ziad. Yea, all their princes as Zabah and as Zamunah.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to go into all the different stories, but I think we get the point. Let's keep going.
I do have a question.
What's that?
So is this showing that, okay, if the nations want to be Hebrew and operate and serve the nation, then we got to deal with them like Jews?
Well, that wasn't the message. The message was just all these nations that are attacking us, that want our harm, get rid of them like the Most High got rid of our enemies during the time of Judges.
So maintain the same premise.
Yes, this is just a prayer to ask for protection from these nations that don't have our best interests at heart.
Now, I was doing the question on this. So if they want to be bruised, they want to live right and serve the nation and serve them like the Kenites, then deal with them righteously. But if they're adversarial, then deal with them adversarially. Right? But if you're in a condition of servitude where you're in their nation and you're a stranger in their land, you got to make sure you're obeying the laws of the land, but not breaking the laws of the Most High. I'm just asking. There's different premises per situation. It's not a one.
It's not just uniform. Just be a negative across.
Because Israel, one time we get tunnel vision sometimes when it comes to how to deal with it.
Okay. All right. And all this is explained. I guess what I'm trying to pull out of this, it's just the entire region wanted us down, wanted to break us. The entire region wanted to harm us, and as we're going to read in the Josephus, did harm us and consistently harmed us, which was why we needed a wall in the first place. Okay. So let's let that go. I think we got the point of that. Let's go back to Josephus now and go into where it says, and when they replied that they were in a bad state. Let's focus on the bad state part.
Line 161. And when they replied that they were in a bad state, for that their walls were thrown down to the ground, and that the neighboring nations did a great deal of mischief to the Jews.
These neighboring nations, these Samaritans, these Ammonites, these Moabites, these Philistines, the Tyrians, Zidonians, all different directions, they were doing damage. Listen, do y'all remember when Ezra was making that trip from Babylon to Israel, and that he told Artaxerxes, the king, that he didn't need any guards to take him back down? Then he sat back here and said, man, we got money, we got gold, walking with gold, and these bandits are out here. These stick-up kids are real. There's some real stick-up kids out here. So think about this. On the way from Babylon to Jerusalem, there were real bandits and thieves that just roamed to take what they wanted. Now just imagine, listen, and that's the case. But just imagine you're in a city that's open and exposed to whoever wants to come take you. Every bandit, every negative, dirty dude could come in and try to take what he wants in the city. This is how dangerous it was. This is how bad it was to live in that area with no protection. Okay?
I gotta read this one point right here.
Okay.
Thug, historical. A member of a group or organization of robbers and assassins in India who waylaid and strangled their victims, usually travelers, and stole their belongings.
Yeah.
This
That's real thug stuff.
This has been going on for generations.
Kinda. I want to just this is important to understand, because these bandits and these thieves and these robbers, this was a real issue that Ezra had to face, that the people had to face, that was constantly hovering over the city because there was no protection. Yeah. Now listen, let's continue in the Josephus where it says, for that the walls were thrown down to the ground, and that the neighboring nations did a great deal of mischief to the Jews. What kind of mischief are we talking about? Mischief sounds like I just tagged on your wall or something like that.
Yeah, what kind of mischief are you talking about?
I'm tagged. I slashed your tires.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What's mischief?
I tipped some cows over.
Just knock it on the door and run.
Yeah, ding dong. What's
ding
it?
Dong.
What's
ding
it?
Dong ditch it.
Ding dong ditch. Is that the kind of mischief that they're talking about?
Yeah.
Let's find out what mischief it was. Read on.
It says, while in the daytime they overran the country and pillaged it.
Come on, man. They're going into the city and taking what they wanted out of houses.
Wow.
They're sitting back here daytime robbing.
Wow.
This is what people were doing.
Daytime.
I'm taking items in the day. I'm taking jewelry, I'm taking garments, I'm taking clothes. I'm strong arming you broad daylight in the city. What are they going to do? They don't have an army. They don't have a wall.
Listen, we can do what we want here.
Listen,
think
about how bad that is. Think about how bad that is. Listen, I'm going to your house. I want your goods. And I want your children.
That's what I'm saying. And it's
That's the point.
like today. You can look at the the little videos online as when people come to the front door like this and like, I need some help. Like, you don't need no help, bro. He's like 6'8". 6'8", coming to the person's house at 1 in the morning, I need some help. Then they start kicking the door. This is home invaders.
Mm-hmm.
This is home invasion at this time. Like it is now.
Huh? And this is free for all time, huh?
There's no law, there's no order, there's no advocacy.
There's no army. We have no army.
Yeah.
We have no army. We have no walls. It's a free for all in the city. This is bad.
That's a huge incident.
This is really bad. And this is why they're saying, man, they're doing some real mischief out here in Jerusalem.
They're kicking doors, broad daylight, do what they want to do, and you know, if they're stealing, they're doing something else too.
That's my point.
They're not just stealing items and going home.
Yeah.
They're taking what they want. And we have no type of order and structure to protect ourselves.
Protection. And that's what's scary as hell.
When we defy the Most High, it shows on a spiritual lesson, when we defy the Most High's nation, we lose our spiritual protection. It's another aspect of losing spiritual protection.
But this is what's been happening since the fall in 586 BC.
Mm-hmm.
And our reemerges back on the scene.
Yeah.
In around 6, I forgot, I think it was 615 or 515, no, it was 515. We got back in 515, we were still under this type of pressure and under this type of violence in the city. This is real. Yeah. And the messed up thing is, maybe if you had money, you could hire guards.
Well, if you did have money.
No, but I'm saying, that's my point. If you had money, you could hire some arms, some hands. Hey, listen, I need 5 guys that can throw hands and use the swords.
Yeah.
And if you got bread, they'll be there. They'll have bodyguards. But if you broke and you on the south side, because that was the south side was the broke town in Israel. Listen, man, they can get what they want.
Pit bulls are not enough, because Israel just thinks they can get some pit bulls out.
Nah, bro,
it's not enough.
I knew my father knew a guy. He said would see pit bulls and Rottweilers, and they'd be barking at him. And my father's friend would jump over the fence and punch him in the mouth and take their dog from him.
What?
And he's walking their dog in their neighborhood, and the dog is barking at their owner.
Oh my God!
I'm like, that's the craziest.
What kind of dog is this?
Rugged thing. This guy later on went to Vietnam and was okay and made it back. Listen, I'm like, that guy is a warrior, right?
He could fight Vietnam.
Listen, you sitting back here as a teenager and you going to war with a ride-out. Pop, pop, pop. That's it. And you're going over there with a neck chain and with a leash, because you know what you're gonna do. You're gonna win. You're gonna sit back and hit him in the nose a couple times. It's barking, and that's it. You coming with him. Whatever you would do, whatever your life was in that backyard, it's changed. Whatever your routine was for the 3 years of your life, it is now. You have a new life.
You got a new master.
You're coming with him. That's what it was. Listen, get ready. You'll be all right. Your head's shaking a little bit. Come on with me. You're coming to my house. And I heard that. So I never forgot that story. I was a young man when I heard that. So
and
I'm
he
like,
walked the dog.
Huh?
He walked the dog. Remember, the dog would bark.
No, later on, after he worked his magic, he bring him in the neighborhood again, and he's barking at his previous owner. Like, no, you're not with me. This is my guy. Right. He proved he's the alpha.
He's the boss.
He went 1-on-1 with me and won. And he did it multiple times with different dogs. Listen, that was an amazing story. It's the truth. That was a real story, and I was like, wow, that stuck in my head.
Yeah, so that whole fallacy.
I don't even know how we got to that point.
Well, listen, because Israel thinks that they got these pits, and this is gonna.
Oh
stop.
yeah, you said the dog thing. Okay, that's.
You said the south side out, but it's common knowledge.
No, it's the south side of Jerusalem.
I know. I'm just saying in general.
Because they call it the hotel.
Yeah.
It was. They called it the hotel. You read it in one of them. It was the motel, the hotel. They said it was like the south side of Jerusalem was called the hotel, the motel, and it was just the slums kind of like Jerusalem, and
not the college.
Huh? No, it was the college. It wasn't the hotel motel. It was the college, and they called it the college because that was like the more broken down side of town in Jerusalem. What is my point though? My point is that they were exposed to whatever bandits and thievery and mischief that these guys wanted to do. Okay? So, read that again.
And when they replied that they were in a bad state, for that their walls were thrown down to the ground, and that the neighboring nations did a great deal of mischief to the Jews, while in the daytime they overran the country and pillaged it, and in the night did the mischief.
In the night, it got worse. I'm stealing it and temporarily violating your situation in broad daylight. But at night, it got worse at night.
We should have had some walls.
Listen, they couldn't get the walls done because Cambyses said no.
Somebody get these walls together because there's no
all day, all night. There's no break.
There's no 9mm. There's no shotguns. We had the conception that now, like, man, I have a shotgun by the door, I have behind the couch.
And do you think martial arts was a real thing out when they're sitting back here knowing all this stuff and kung fu out?
Listen,
that wasn't happening, bro.
6v1,
it wasn't happening.
It's 6v1, 10v1.
That karate crap don't work like that anyway. You ever watch karate movies? You're not going to be like one guy, this next guy, and everybody's just waiting for you while you're kicking this guy's tail. That's not real. They're jumping you. So, the mischief at night is going to explain what happens during the mischief at night. Read on.
And in the night did the mischief, in so much that not a few.
Not a few means what?
A whole lot.
A lot. Read on.
Were led away captive.
What does that mean? That's human trafficking.
Yep.
They were human trafficking at night. They were taking what they wanted in the day, humans and goods, and at night they came for seconds.
And there's no alert. There's no. Your phone's ringing.
Yeah.
There's somebody.
Alert.
Amber Alert.
Yeah.
There's somebody out here that we probably know.
No, bro.
It's none of that.
Listen, they were sitting back here in human trafficking, men, women, children, the whole nine.
So you're waking up
from Jerusalem,
like Joseph.
They're busting down doors, and they're taking everyone in your family captive. They're sitting back here robbing you today.
The best you could lose is some corn. That's the best thing you could lose.
Listen, this is the city.
Well, these are home invasions, man.
Yeah,
that's a kick.
Home invasions and human trafficking. Home invasions was in the daytime. They were robbing and thieving and violating in the daytime. Then they were coming home, and then at night, they gonna get you at night when you're sleeping and take all your family away. And human traffic you. And sell you and make money. They gonna pawn your stuff in the day and then sell you at night.
It gives you a picture of the ancient world. Everybody has this whole picture. If you just had dusty clothes on and walking around and eating bread. There's a lot of violence and crime.
There's some dirty dog dudes out there, right? It kind of gives you like a Wild West kind of vibe,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's not just these and
those guys are sitting back here and have their teeth are black and they're just spitting out the damn what's that damn that chew?
Yeah.
It is dirty dudes. When you go to this damn bar, you know it's bad intentions there.
Ain't no jails out. Ain't no real jails out.
There's not real jails.
Can we get some real jails here?
No, bro. And they got one 70-year-old damn cop.
Yeah.
They're gonna sit back and stop these 20-year-old thugs, huh?
No, bro.
It's not happening, huh? This is what's happening in Jerusalem. They have no army. They have no walls.
It's a bad state to be.
That's why I'm trying to take my time to explain how bad this is.
Do you want to live in this post-apocalyptic?
This morning I had 5 daughters and 2 sons. Tomorrow night, all my children are gone. And I don't know where they're at. I don't know where they're going. I don't know if they survived this or they got shipped off to slavery somewhere else.
Ishmael. Yeah.
It's always Ishmael. They're always. I put them on blast. Everybody else can do it. They're known human trafficking.
And that's why
to this day.
That's why we were doing the Psalms 83 early. How all the nations are out to get us.
And
can you imagine all these nations have it out for us? You don't know who Norway was. They could have been the Philistines today. They could have been the Ishmaelites yesterday. It could have been the Ammonites tomorrow. You know, better.
Like, hey, man, going back to the motherland, my brother. Going back to the motherland. Some came. You going back to the days. What do you think's happening? But it's like Scarface. How about that? In the end scene of Scarface. Yeah. That's what's happening here. Home invasions, taking what they want. People are resources. Bro, that's the thing. Human capital. This is the mischief. You read about the mischief? Now you get a better idea of what the mischief is. Nah, bro. They selling humans, bro. Your life is over. It was all good just a week ago.
It literally was.
Now this is how bad they're taking children, they're taking humans, they're taking your wife. You barely get out of it alive.
This is why you need the Most High. Israel has like this mentality. I don't think the Most High got it. I did really got it.
Okay, is the sound still distorted? Is the sound still distorted?
Man, bro.
What's that, sis? Okay.
But do we
just
really
let us
have
know if it's still distorted.
This is why it's so important when things are peaceable, things are correct, and things are in order. Just show them how you love them as much as possible. So in these times when the times shift or things happen, you have some spiritual insurance for the Most High to protect your household and your family.
I don't know how to fix this.
This is the purpose of investing extra works, and extra spirit, and extra charity with your people.
Okay, I don't know how to fix this distorted sound. Let's try it. Let's see something.
It's been going since last night, bro.
Has it?
It's audio issues.
Yeah, you got like a little.
This was muted.
Have like a little static.
I think that's a secondary mic. It'll be a.
Somebody said it sounds better now.
It'll be a double. If you cut that on, it'll be two at the same time. It'll be muddled.
Okay.
That wouldn't work either. Okay, thank you. All right, they said it's better now, so let's do it.
This right here.
Okay.
I hope it doesn't mess. Okay.
That's good now. The
I
way
don't wanna
Mr. Dorsey Branch.
Okay.
And Miss Camille,
And
go on.
everybody. Okay. So we're taking our time to paint this picture so we understand why Nehemiah and the movement that he did was so important. Because you'll sit back and he's built a wall. Who gives a damn? You know what I mean? It's just a wall.
It's a wall.
No, it's a wall that helps save and create a spirit of safety amongst their people.
For our community.
Yep.
For the community.
Let's get a verse on that. Proverbs 25:28.
Proverbs chapter 25, verse 28. Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. He that have no rule over his own spirit.
It's no different than when somebody that has no self-control and that cannot control their mind. What happens?
It says, it's like a city that is broken down
Go ahead.
and without walls.
So when the city is broken down without walls, it's constant bombardment of ideas. That's somebody's mental capacity, but that's also explaining what happens when the city don't have any walls. You're constantly being bombarded from outside raiders, and not Los Angeles Raiders, not the football team,
Not the good Raiders.
Yeah, not the Men in Black Raiders, but
There are men in black. They have black intentions.
Yeah.
They have dark intentions. Yes, they are.
But they're about to raid you, and you're getting raided, and that's significant because he's saying that the mind could be that same way when a city don't have no walls. That means you're exposed and you're vulnerable to whatever comes your way, and whatever intention somebody has to do to you, who's gonna stop them from doing it? Nobody.
That's scary.
Yeah.
That's really scary. So read that again.
Yeah.
And Joseph, you finished that verse?
Yeah.
Let's go back to Josephus.
Yeah, come. Josephus says, while in the daytime they overran the country and pillaged it, and in the night did the mischief, insomuch that not a few were led away captive out of the country.
When you say night, you mean 1 a.m., 2 a.m.,
Yeah.
3 a.m.,
When you're in
4
your REM
a.m.?
sleep, like
when you're trying to really, can you really sleep? Can you really sleep?
But that's the issue. Once you start getting reports about abductions,
Come on,
there ain't
bro.
no sleep. Okay, let's do this. I was going to wait. Go to Deuteronomy 28, verse 68. I'm sorry. Deuteronomy 28, 67 and 68.
Come. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 67.
Let me get there real quick. I'm typing in. 28, verse 67. Read that, sir.
Come. In the morning thou shalt say, with the Most High, it were even.
Yeah, because when somebody's raiding you in the morning, Yeah, man, I wish it was night. I can get past this crap.
Yeah.
Now you understand what this is talking about. This is one of the curses. When it's daytime, you wishing it's night. Read on.
And at the even, thou shalt say, "What the Most High, it were morning."
I wish it was morning, because you know what? This is bad at night. I'm getting rated at night. I wish I had some rest in the morning.
Want some fresh energy?
I wish I could get to the
and
morning.
some light.
Con. Because these dudes is coming for us at night. All I can hear is some horses. Now I know what's on. I wish I could just get through the day. Or can I get through the night and get to the day? And if it's the daytime, can I get through the day to get to the night?
You have an uncertain life.
And that's what part of the curses is.
Uncertainty.
Con. Read on.
Come. For the fear of thine heart, wherewith thou shalt fear.
This is part of the curses. Man, if I don't know why I put verse 68, it's really 66. Read verse 66.
Verse
Can't
66.
sleep,
And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee.
And you can't have nothing.
I know.
Israelites to have things.
Can't have
Really
it.
don't want to have things around these kind of people.
You can't. You got to hide all your belongings. You have to constantly operate in fear. He says, your life shall hang in doubt before you. Don't know if they're going to come back and raid you today.
They have whole songs about this, bro. We would kick those, and where's the safe? Give me the safe. Everybody wants to know what you got. Everybody wants to know. You look a little too happy. You might have some money. You might have some paper.
Con.
You gonna buy? You gonna go shop today? I saw one shop and they had 3 bags. I'm gonna follow them home. It's all kind of bad people out here, bro.
God, and the nations are scoping us out. They're scoping us out. Every day, our life is on the line. Okay, read on.
Come. It says, and thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night.
Why are you fearing day? Because the raiders are coming in the day. Why are you going to fear night? Because these human trafficking boys are going to come at night.
Yep.
I got children to look after. Remember that picture Shamshwan, I think you or Dariat showed of it was a starving Indian family?
Yeah.
And the father could barely stand up?
Yeah.
But he was fighting to make sure his daughters and his wife wasn't snatched and kidnapped?
Yeah, that was
and
it,
eaten?
it was because the cannibals were running rampant at night.
That's crazy. So he had to sit back here and stay. I'm sorry, what's the pictures? Had to sit back here and fight his tail off to make sure his family had half of a chance. Hopefully I can get this picture real quick. There it is right there. Mm-hmm. Listen. If y'all can look online, please do. Because he's sitting back here with his staff. He can barely move.
Yeah.
But he's fighting his tail off to make sure his daughters don't get killed and eaten and put into slavery.
And what level of misery is that we have to watch people suffer like this?
God.
And watch them be with no security. No food security, no physical security.
God. And listen, the crazy thing is this could happen to us. Listen, when there's no law and there's martial law going on here, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to be a survival of how big is your crew? How big is the crew you got versus this other big crew that's fighting for survival?
Yeah, they say in Venezuela, it's anarchy right now in Venezuela. Even the cops don't patrol after 6 o'clock. Even the cops shut it down before it get dark because that's when they get crazy.
Yeah.
So they said that if you have a crew of 25, a guy told us this when we was in Miami. He said if you got a crew of guys that's trying to keep your neighborhood secure, a group of 25 is not enough because they'll get ran over by a group of 50 to 100.
What? A 50 is bigger than obviously bigger, but
Yeah.
it's like that. 25 is not enough.
25
That's
is
deep,
not enough.
bro.
Your 25 man crew is not sufficient enough to stop 100 guys from raiding your household. They said because in Venezuela there's no water. There's no water on the shelves. They said they put water out. It's only like maybe 2 bottles at a time. The oil is already recycled. They're using recycled cooking oil 3, 4, 5, 6 times over. So the cooking oil's already been burnt. It's already burnt. It's no good. But they're reselling cooking oil to keep cooking. So the food that you got is very scarce, and you're being raided continuously. And that's going on in Venezuela today. That's 2024.
They are here too now.
Oh yeah.
I just seen a video last night where they have they had the Venezuelans, a few of them, they go like in 3s and 4s. One guy go to the door, he have a yellow vest on, posing as a Amazon driver. He knocked on the door, they open the door, he pulls the gun out, goes in, the other 2 guys coming right behind him and raid the house.
Yeah.
Serious, man.
And so that even the kid that shot the 2 police officers in New York, that killed the 2 police officers, he said that's what we do in Venezuela. He said that's the gang that I'm from. He said that's what we do is hunt cops. So while with these open borders that we got now, the border we ain't no walls now.
It's on, man.
Yeah, but you're getting a mentality that's coming in that's ruthless, that's lawless. You're in a lawless mentality.
That's right.
So I mean that's happening then and it's happening now, but on different levels.
God. And this is why we need the Most High. This is why Psalms 83 was so important about the prayer. The Most High would have mercy on us and look after all these nations, or look after us as all these nations wish us harm.
Yeah.
So you have bandits, you have gangs, you have all these organizations trying to destroy us and break us down from the inside out. Then you have these political oppositional parties trying to break us. We were catching hell back then, but it goes back to the curses. Read Deuteronomy 28 verse 66 again.
And we never really explain it clearly, not because we don't want to, but we normally harp on slave ships. We normally harp on Native Americans losing the buffalo.
But these
these
curses,
are significant.
These curses apply literally as we fell in 586 BC, all the way down to present day. This fear of the day and the fear of the night. What kind of life is it that every 5 minutes you're looking up and somebody can come for your kids
or somebody who knows kids?
I know. And you guys got to take turns just getting rest. Because everybody can't sleep. Because you might get taken advantage of if you're not rich. One of the people who had it easier was rich. Because they could pay for the protection. Everybody else couldn't do that. And they were the targets. So read on verse 66 and 67.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 66. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life.
You're not assured that you're going to see your children the next day. You're not assured that the husband and wife are going to be in the same house and survive this next raid that's going to come in your region. There's nothing guaranteed in your life. Read on.
Verse 67. In the morning thou shalt say, would the Most High ever even?
Come on.
And at even thou shalt say, would the Most High ever morning? For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see.
What he's saying is, listen, man, you're so afraid that am I going to even get through this night? And then on this day, am I going to get through this day to the next night? Is my family going to withstand this next wave of violence? That's a real fear and a real concern. Read verse 29.
Verse 29. Well, verse 29 is
28 is Deuteronomy 28
Come.
and 29.
Come. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 29. And thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness.
No vision. No vision, no clarity in the daytime, just like you can't see in the night. Read on.
And thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore.
We're going to be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and that's what was happening during the time of Nehemiah. We're being spoiled, robbed of our children, robbed of our resources, robbed of our crops. Read on.
God says, and no man shall save.
And no person was going to save us out of this condition. Read verse 30.
Verse 30. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her.
What do you think was happening in these raids in the daytime? These raids in the daytime, they were taking your wife. That was part I was part of these raids. What do you think was happening at night?
No structure.
Listen,
No sleep.
no
No
wall. Your woman was getting taken. Read on.
Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein.
Mm-hmm.
Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof.
Because who was taking those grapes? Those raiders.
Yeah.
Then the question is this: which one's a better situation? Live in a city with no walls, or live on a farm by yourself?
Which is still bad.
That's bad. You on a farm, there's no help. It's just you and your family on that property and your servants. You're isolated. These guys, these raiders were coming and taking all of your crops, maybe trying to take your children and your woman. This was the curse we were facing. Does that make sense? Now we understand the need of why this wall was so important for us. It wasn't just even on, yes, if we were ever sieged, an attack we needed on a national level. But on a day-to-day family scenario, just to protect your regular citizens didn't have any protection. And that's scary. Okay, now what's that?
Hey, old people, what they gonna do? Who's gonna defend the old people?
Nobody.
Who gonna defend the
Who
young?
will defend the young?
Like,
We don't even have an army. We don't even have an army. We could barely put together a proper priesthood. We barely put that together.
People say, what's the significance of a protective body? What's the significance of this Bible thing? What's the significance of this spiritual priesthood situation? What's the significance of the Most High? All people that talk like that, they're stupid. Because they don't understand when society breaks down, you need these Judeo-Christian concepts to maintain order.
I guess my thing is, for everybody that's anti-camp, keep the anti-camp concept when everything falls apart. When the dollar means nothing.
Yeah.
When the dollar means nothing, stay in your apartment. Stay in your house around your enemies. And see if they will start banging on your door, breaking through your windows. Keep that policy. It's not even serious. Keep the policy and see who sustains themselves. The people with law and a spiritual order that keeps things intact.
Structure.
And there is an order, there's a hierarchy, there's discipline, there's respect. Or you go and try it out there on your own and see how it goes.
You gotta tolerate.
I mean, we are definitely in the Sodom and Gomorrah days where the alphabet mafia,
Yep.
even the men,
3-letter mafia.
even the men are not safe.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they taking men too,
But,
Yes.
yeah,
raping men too.
Yes.
Yeah, so it ain't.
That was happening here too.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Listen, that's a real thing. This is clear and present danger
Yeah.
that we're facing.
It's real.
If we don't sit back here and take the Lord serious.
If we don't take
But
structure
this is
serious,
what happens
Okay.
when we want to follow idols. We don't want to respect the Most High. We don't take the Most High serious. These are the things we don't think about.
and I
Just
love,
basic national security, basic protection. Just the idea that the Most High is going to look after you. That's thrown out there lightly. Oh, the Most High is going to take care of me. Are you sure? Have you done enough work for the Most High to take care of you? Have you truly committed enough in your life to Him to get that reassurance back to you?
Because everybody's scared of SWAT teams and the feds coming on them. That's a significant fear sometimes, but I mean, bro, it could be the dude down the street, bro.
Listen,
I got reports.
like Shamshawan said, before you go, the police don't come after 6. So what you gonna do after 6 p.m.? What's the regular people gonna do after 6 if you know 5-0 don't come back until 7 a.m. at night in the morning?
They're already doing that now in America, where if it's minor crimes, they won't show up. If it's robbery, they consider that petty. They're not coming out for robbery. You know, unless it's a robbery in progress, they'll come out. But if you've already been robbed and it's already happened, it's too late. They're not coming out. Minor crimes are not being dealt with because the law enforcement is struggling, and they're being defunded. And then now you got big cities that they select and choose what they'll respond to. And
then the point thing is, after that person robs you one time and nothing happens, what do you think's happening next?
They're coming back.
Well,
They're coming back.
They go to jail,
I'm talking about the ones that don't go to jail.
I'm saying that even the ones that go to jail. In certain cities, they go to jail.
Slap on the wrist.
Back to the streets.
Yeah.
Do it again.
They just sat down for 6 months. Huh?
Look, they still not even that. Listen, they say in New York.
They bond out.
They just sat down for like 2 months. Huh? They sat down,
couple
had 3 hots in the cot,
yeah.
and they back running the streets again. Huh?
They say the majority of the crime in New York or the East Coast. I don't want to say exactly New York, but I heard New York. Right? They say the majority of the people that are doing the crimes it's like the same. It's the same people. Like, it's not like everybody. It's just the same people. The loss was not doing it. It's the same 15, 19, 20 people.
It's more than that.
I'm just saying that. Not doing anything about it.
It's like the same guys that are going against Spider-Man. Can't you lock these guys up? Huh?
You can't get Green Goblin.
Can you throw Green Goblin in
Dr.
jail?
Octavius keeps making.
Why is Craven the Hunter keep getting out of jail? Like, throw this guy in jail. Like, what are you doing? How do they keep escaping? How does Joker keep escaping? What's going on here, right?
Let him go. Let him go, Joker.
He has good behavior now. He went to Arkham. He's better after a year. Get out of here,
He cleaned the floors for 3 weeks. He was clean. Let him out. But society's getting to the point where they can't afford significant security for regular people.
God, Rhino, he's okay now.
Let him back.
Let him back in. Rhino's okay now.
I'm just
He
saying.
is rehabilitated.
It's poor policies. Huh? It's poor economic policies. It's poor security policies. The people suffer. The society breaks down. And then, what do you do when society breaks down? What protection do you have?
Done.
That's the importance of.
Well, we'll see in a few years.
Yeah.
It's coming, bro. It's coming. We keep talking it out.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not saying be a super prepper like some of these guys on TV are, but I tell you what, be ready. This is why you put your work in now, so there's something to be confident about when things break down, because it's breaking down. So, like I said, this is just a reminder of how bad things have been for our people.
Yeah.
This is why it talks about even in that chapter in Ezekiel, in Ezra, where it said things were worse back in the past than now. Can you imagine living in a city where people are coming to raid your city?
That's the worst.
You don't got no gas, and you have all daughters in your house. What about that? What if you ain't got no older men?
And you're broke.
And your money's jacked up. And you're begging and hoping that your neighbor comes through for you. But he might not. He might not get you in time.
Or he might have his own problems.
He might get raided too at the same simultaneous time. Listen, it's a bad situation. It was bad back then. Listen, let's go back to Antiquities and read that part again. Read the whole part from Bad State.
Antiquity
This hit me. This part hit me. Because when you read all of this, Deuteronomy 28, you start seeing it a little bit different in like real time. But read this again.
Antiquity of the Jews, Book 11, Chapter 5, Paragraph 6, line 161. It says, and when they replied that they were in a bad state, for that their walls were thrown down to the ground, and that the neighboring nations did a great deal of mischief to the Jews, while in the daytime they overran the country and pillaged it, and in the night did the mischief, insomuch that not a few were led away captive out of the country.
Many people were led away captive in the middle of the night. They were snatched up in the middle of the night to a foreign country. Read on.
And out of Jerusalem itself, and that the roads were in the daytime found full of dead men.
So what it's saying is, along with those captives that got shipped out to other countries to be traded, the rest were just laid dead in the city. There were just dead men in the city that were getting wiped out trying to defend themselves and their families that died.
And be probably good men.
They were good men that fought to keep their families intact. They died. The women and children were taken as slaves, and every morning you waking up seeing dead bodies on the street.
I mean, listen, I don't need no man. You can't have that kind of mentality back there. I'm not trying to throw it out there, but it's the truth.
You threw it out there, though. You're not trying to throw it out. You threw it out there. It's true though.
I don't need no man. You can't say that in this condition.
Really?
I don't need no man, or I don't need the Most High. It's the same spirit.
Isaiah 31.
Yeah.
Listen, hold this. Since you pulled it out, I think it's Isaiah 31. I think it's Isaiah 31. Is it 31 or 32? Yes, 30. 32 and 2.
Con. Isaiah chapter 32 and verse 2.
Oh man, hold on a second. This might not be the one. No, this is it. This is it. This is it. Read that.
Isaiah chapter 32 and verse 2. And a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind.
Hell yeah, wind means destruction. He says the end time, he says a man's going to be a hiding place from destruction. Read on.
And a covert from the tempest.
And a cover and a protection from this weather. These bad incidents that are happening.
Bad times are.
Listen, the man's going to be needed when it counts. Read on.
As rivers of water in a dry place.
Listen, when it's a desert, you better find some water.
You need water.
When you're, listen, in all survival situations, what do they tell you in all these shows? You better find a water source.
That's the first thing.
You can sit back here and you can go without food for a little bit of time, but you got to find water, and you need a bowl or a pot. You ever see those survival shows? You gotta get a pot. You gotta get some water.
Yeah.
Because without the pot, you're gonna drink some bad water, and you're gonna be pooping and throwing up all day long. That's the point. So you gotta get water and a pot. That's the first. Then you gotta get covered. Or you could get covering, and you immediately find water. So we said that's how valuable water is, and that's how valuable men are gonna be in these end times.
He said like a covert, right?
Yeah.
The definition of covert, it says hiding place, secret place.
Mm-hmm.
But this one he says,
when it's storming outside. Yep.
He says a married woman who is considered as being under the influence and protection of her husband.
Wow.
So that covert, I've said a man should be a covert. That he's saying that man is a protector over the wife. But a lot of people that say I don't need no man, they're
significant.
They're denying their own protection.
Yeah.
They're forfeiting their own protection. Because that covert by definition means a concealed private hiding place, a place to be hid, a protection, a covering.
We can do it.
So when a woman puts a covering over her head, that's what she's acknowledging.
That's crazy, bro.
That's a good one.
Like a man needs the Heavenly Father
as his
to be with him.
Yeah.
Because that whole independent man mentality is wicked too.
Well, I'm gonna do what I want to do, live how I want to live. Listen, we are equal opportunity correctors in San Antonio.
Yeah.
We're gonna sit back here as quick as you're gonna say a woman got to be in order. Men better be right also. Yeah. We better be right also.
I'll get back to God when I get back to God, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
When I get older,
right now, me and God ain't seeing eye to eye.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I told God I'll get back to him.
Or they don't say those blasts.
Some people say sometimes.
I'm just saying people just want to live their life and don't want to talk.
Oh, you know what, man? Oh yeah, man. I love the Most High.
Oh, I just heard the other day somebody said, yeah, I got a problem with the way the Bible's written.
Whoa.
Oh, okay.
How's it written? Because what's the problem with how the writing styles? The font?
They use Old English, so I don't know what it was, but they got a problem with the Most High.
Golly.
They ain't gonna go into detail about it, but people have issue with the Most High. That's not the time. It's not the time to have an issue with the Most High.
No,
that book's 4,000 years old. What can that book tell me today?
Yeah.
All
right, bro. Listen, when you're in these crazy times with no protection, and the cops ain't coming out because the cops need cops.
Listen, and everybody talking about defunding police. Listen, I know there's some negative cops, but you need cops at times, bro.
You need law and order.
You need law and order, bro. You need it. Because when you got sick of kids in your front door, and you only got one clip of bullets.
That's it.
What are you gonna do?
Listen,
not 911. You're pushing that button. Now you're gonna push the button.
Right? Sorry, everybody got problems.
Hey, this little whack back you got ain't enough, man. That little whack back.
What you doing in my car? Get out of my car. They taking that car too.
Yeah.
Bro, listen.
I gotta go to work in the morning.
No, you ain't thinking about that. They coming in for some other things. This is bad. This is bad.
And I watch the videos. It's popping my feet all the time.
Okay.
Listen, I don't know why they pop my feet out.
Yes. Because you watch them. That's why they pop on your feet. Because they'll pop on your feet once, and if you gloss over, they don't come out. You don't watch it anymore. But if you watch from beginning to end, that's what they're gonna do. The algo will start.
He likes to watch this.
Listen to him more. That's why.
They come deep. They come deep. They come.
That's scary, bro.
They come deep, and they have strategies now. Now they're getting strategic. They're getting
like what it said.
But it's not just like we need the Most High more than we think. That independent man theory. If you got family, you got kids, if you got something like that, you better be more pious to the Most High.
Kinda.
That's the reason to be pious.
Kinda.
That He may protect you.
Yep. He said 2 is better than 1.
Yeah, brothers, I don't want to go to work today. I don't want to serve the Most High today. I don't want to study. I want to study. You want to study when the Spirit, when these times are going on.
Or you gonna pray? You want to pray when
Yeah.
you know what hits the fan?
Yeah, man.
Right.
I pray, but once I pray when we pray. Okay.
Right.
God knows my heart.
God knows my heart.
I know. That's the problem. He knows exactly what's in your heart. Listen, so we read that verse 2, right?
Yeah.
Jump up to, go down to verse 9.
Verse 9.
I want to say one more thing, if I may.
You got it.
Also, too, on Shamshuan's point about, it says a man that does not control his spirit is like a city broken without walls. We look at that scripture kind of cavalier and kind of casual, but listen, there's all kind of delusions out here. There's all kind of mental illnesses that people get old later in life. There's all kind of addictions that increase over time. And if you don't have the Spirit of the Most High protecting your conscience, you can't even protect yourself because you don't have the right mentality to protect yourself. Some people, they're not even beneficial to themselves. I can't benefit myself because I can't think straight. I can't think clear. I have too much anxiety. I have too much fear. Or I got too much. I got my addictive, impulsive nature dominates me. Or I can't deal with people, and so I leave myself open for spiritual attack. It's explained in the physical realm. It's explained in the spiritual realm, bro. We need the Most High, and we need people to come together to serve the Most High, so He can sit here and protect us on multiple levels. That was it.
Let's read verse 9. Isaiah 32 and 9.
Isaiah chapter 32 and verse 9. Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech.
This is to this generation now that doesn't think they need a man, that is comfortable in how society protects and elevates women and pretty much pushes the notion that a man isn't necessary. Okay, that a man is a boy toy and you can have as many experiences as you want to maintain your power. He says destruction will rise up. Listen to the women that are at ease. Read on.
Many days and years shall ye be troubled.
This is what's scary. These kind of verses let you know, listen, how long is this affliction going to be?
Many days and years.
How long is the affliction going to be for, man? He says the women that are at ease, it's going to be many days and years where you're going to be troubled, distressed. Life's going to be uncertain. All of those protections and those mechanisms that keep you safe are going to be pulled off. Read on.
Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail.
Let's look up vintage real quick.
I love the scripture right here, bro.
Mm-hmm.
It means of old time, right?
This is just talking about the vintage of abundance. This the abundance shall fail.
Yeah, when the economy is good, I can do my own thing. When the gas prices go up, people act different. People act different when the gas goes up.
When inflation kicks in,
people act different.
If you go to HEB, $200 won't do nothing for you now.
Yeah.
If we're gonna be honest,
it's like
$200 don't do nothing. You're like, that's got a little bit of meat and some bread and some milk.
You know, you get the little hand basket in the store, and that hand basket be $100.
Yeah,
listen,
that's crazy.
Brother,
that's crazy.
Listen, inflation is real. You sit back, I don't know if y'all watched that debate. He was like, finances is better than ever. I'm like, Biden, I don't know who the hell you talking about. There is inflation in America.
He's the 80s right now. He's living in the 80s right now.
Listen, Biden is slurring on television. He was like, like, what did he say? What were those last words he said?
He forgot.
He was slurring.
Dementia is real.
He was slurring the end of his words all the time. What am I saying?
Couldn't finish a point.
Inflation is real. The economy is not in a good place. I just saw online, Kyle Cop shot me the information. Saudi Arabia nixed the petrodollar. So now what they're doing is they're sitting back here and taking payments for oil in all different money denominations.
Yep.
But guess what America just did, like yesterday on what are they starting to kind of build up the propaganda on? Now they're saying the Saudis had a hand in 9/11. That just came out like yesterday.
You're late.
I'm like, no, they're late because the petrodollar, they lost the petrodollar connect. So now they're talking about suing Saudi Arabia for sitting back here and having a hand in 9/11. Now they're going to sit back, but they got to defame them first. Yeah. They're sitting back here leaking information. First of all, they're been Saudis. The Saudis they had their Saudi IDs there in the beginning. Right. But nobody said anything.
The money was good.
Until Saudi said, you know what, we want out of this deal. This petro deal. Now all of a sudden, we're going to say they're implemented in 9/11?
Then it's going to be...
That's cracked 23 years.
They have weapons of mass destruction.
They're going to start saying whatever they got to do to break these guys, to get that money back. I'm like, that was a gangster damn play. You want to leave us? We're going to find a way to break you.
Oh, back in the day,
bro,
you was there.
They're doing this all around the world, but it's not working. They tried a coup in Bolivia this week.
Yep.
They tried a coup in Bolivia, it didn't work. Damn. With a 3-letter organization. They're trying their best to make it. You know why? Why Bolivia? Bolivia has 21 million tons of lithium that they're ready to sit back here and do deals on.
And what's lithium for?
Lithium's for those smart cars, the batteries. All that smart whatever. The batteries, you need lithium.
The lithium ion.
And you need lithium, you need what's the other one?
Cobalt.
Yeah. You need both of those to run and be innovators in this industry. China got a lot of the cobalt and lithium in Africa.
A lot, yeah.
But they're all fighting for Bolivia's lithium over there. So now there's a coup. Is that now all of a sudden,
it's a political upheaval.
And then there's this general came down with some army guys to try to take over the president. But like then the funny thing was the president said, "Listen, man, no, this guy's the leader." They took him out. They took the guy out of power, put somebody else, and then they arrested him. It was nullified in a day. But that used to work back in the day. It worked for Haiti in the early 2000s. It worked for all these countries. But though his ways aren't working, but he's not trying. He's still trying. He is still trying to flex his muscle to keep his power.
And Russia just recently started trading all oil in the Chinese yuan. So they're doing away with that U.S. dollar.
Listen, bro, they're doing away with it. Why are we going into this part? It's confirmation that the dollar's dropping. When the dollar drops, society's going to drop. And when society drops, where's your husband at? Well, at the very least, where's your camp at? That's number one. Where's your school at? Because, hey, you better, it's not necessarily about a husband, but you better be around a family of brothers and sisters who are going to look after you.
Law and order, protection.
That's going to be premium. So, we better be conscious of that. So,
I don't like how they talk to me.
All right. Cool. Listen, you can be in your apartment and see what it do. But let's read verse 10.
Verse 10.
From the top.
Come.
You know, matter of fact, you got to head out. Adam, I got you next.
Adam Shaw Shabbatah Ban Yahawada Ban Yashrala.
Adam Shaw Shabbatah Ban Yahawada Ban Yashrala. And much. Right? Yahawah Hashem Yashabakatah.
Yahawah Hashem Yahshai.
Okay, so let's read verse 10 again from the top.
Where we at?
32 and 10 of Isaiah.
Okay. Isaiah 32 and 10. Therefore, remove sorrow from thy heart.
Isaiah 32 and 10.
Slack it. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail.
The abundance shall fail. Because that's what makes everybody comfortable, whether it's women and men. It's the abundance. It's the extra money.
It's the investment.
It's the extra resources. Exactly.
Got 401k.
It's my pension funds. It's my retirement.
It's the comforts of society.
And that's what the vintage is. When people are comfortable, you listen. And this is what's scary. When you're comfortable, you don't gotta listen to the Most High.
Yep.
When you're comfortable, you don't gotta be in order.
My job.
That's what people think.
I got a good job, bro. I'll be alright, bro.
When people are comfortable, they don't have to be obedient. They don't have to be right. But there's gonna come a time when the vintage fails and the abundance ceases. Read on. The gathering
shall not come.
Mm-hmm. Read on.
Tremble ye women that are at ease.
When it says the gathering of the crops, the advances, the paycheck bumps, all that will eventually break down. Read on.
Tremble ye women that are at ease. Be troubled.
The whole stimulus idea. Listen, your stimulus went to Ukraine, bro.
Yeah. There's going to come a point where food stamps is going to get broken down, and all the government aid is going to dry up. A lot of folks going to be in trouble when that government aid drops up, when it dries up. That's the truth. The free Medicaid, free medical, free food, inexpensive housing. When that dries up, that's a problem there. Read on.
Be troubled, ye careless ones. Strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins.
This is the whole point. Everybody's going to be humbled. Not just women, men. We're going to all be broken down, and all we're going to have left is the Heavenly Father. Just like these people that we're talking about in Nehemiah. They had no comforts, no security. All they had was their pain and suffering and the hope that the Most High would pull them away from this difficult situation.
The things written aforetime. Written for our learning.
This is a partial reason why a lot of Israelites didn't even want to go back to Jerusalem. Why go back to Jerusalem, to a lawless city with no protection?
The Wild Wild West out there.
It's better off that we stay in Babylon, in Persia, where there's order, law, and protection, versus going to the Wild Wild West where all of our enemies are around there and we're not an established government yet. Why I took a lot of time today to explain this, because if we don't understand the magnitude of the pursuit of making this wall, then we're just reading stories. We're just going through chapters just for the hell of it. It was important to understand the magnitude of what Nehemiah was called for. Does that make sense? Okay, let that go in Isaiah. Let's jump.
His job was to restore order for the community.
And protection. Now the spiritual side was worked on. Getting us there was worked on. Now we need protection, so we can see. Because listen, when you're in a fight or flight mode, how much studying are you going to be doing? It's hard to operate in fight or flight mode. So we got to get out of fight or flight mode so we can be
in a routine
of use of serving the Most High. Okay, so let that go back to Antiquities of the Jews.
Out of survival routines.
Book 11, chapter 6, the last part of or the middle part of paragraph 6. So I would say this is the last time we're gonna go over this part. For there were walls, for that their walls were thrown down to the ground.
For that their walls were thrown down to the ground, and that the neighboring nations did a great deal of mischief to the Jews. While in the daytime they overran the country and pillaged it, and in the night did them mischief, insomuch that not a few were found full of dead men.
Inasmuch that not a few were led away captive.
Insomuch not a few were led away captive out of the country, and out of Jerusalem itself. And that the roads in the daytime found full of men.
Yes, the roads were left full of dead men. I guess the leading into Jerusalem, leading highways were slaughter individuals. That's horrible. Cousins, brothers, sisters, and women, people that you don't know. Talk to them one day.
The next week it's horrible. It's messed up. Okay? Kinda. So let's now go to. Let's go. Matter of fact, let's go to. Yeah, it's maybe it's a. Oh yeah, hold on. Before you leave out, we're saying it's bad. Maybe it is.
I was hearing the sound outside.
Maybe it's a connection issue.
Is it internet maybe?
That's what I'm saying. Maybe it's an internet connection issue. We're working on it, guys.
It's like fried chicken, bro. It's like Mount Deep.
How does fried chickens? You mean fried chicken like cooking?
Like that little needle scratch in the record.
Like in this, yeah.
Like 90s rap, 90s rap.
It's like Illmatic.
Okay, we're working on it, guys. Well, I'm trying. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But,
It's not super bad, but it's annoying.
Okay, it's good now. They said it's good. Sound like
Let us know.
fried.
Keep us posted.
Okay.
Like Havoc.
Okay. So, let's go now. Let's go to Ezra chapter 4 and 4.
The water you want, Don? The water. Aggie student, appreciate y'all. Let us know.
Okay, Ezra 4 and 4.
Then the people of the land weakened the hands of the people of Judah.
And then this is what's happening also back in the day. So I gotta pull back to where we were. Right. Okay, Ezra 4 and 4. Ezra 4 was during the time of Zerubbabel in the beginning of the Reconstruction period. Read verse 4 again.
Then the people of the land weakened the hands of the people of Judah and troubled them in the building.
Now we understand that even back then when they first got to Israel, the people were troubling them and harassing them. And they were violent with them. And they were attempting to rob them even back then in the beginning of Reconstruction. This had been happening to us since we got captured in 586 BC. We were now a prey. We were being spoiled. We were that target that they were using to break us. Okay? So, now let's go to Nehemiah chapter 1, verse 1 to 3. We can go to some more, but I think it's best we go into it now. I think we've
There's
milked that
need for
point
walls.
down.
We need some walls.
Now we know we need walls. Now we know why we needed walls.
Yeah.
So Nehemiah 1 verse 1 through 3.
Nehemiah 1 and 3.
I don't think that's it.
Verse 1 through 3.
I'll be all right.
Yeah, we're going to read the entire chapter. We're going to start with the first 3 verses.
The words of Nehemiah, the son of Machaliah. And it came to pass. Hakaliah. And it came to pass in the month Chisleu.
Chisleu is in December. Chisleu is in the month of December. Read on.
In the 12th year.
20th. That's 20th.
In the 20th year, Salakia. As I was in Shushan, the palace, that Hanani, one of my brethren, came, he and certain men of Judah. And I asked them concerning the Jews that had escaped, which were left of the captivity, and concerning Jerusalem. And they said unto me, the remnant that are left of the captivity there in the province are in great affliction and reproach.
Now we understand what that great affliction and reproach is all about. Now you know why I went to Josephus first, because it doesn't give you specifics in Nehemiah. You just know in Nehemiah that they were being afflicted and they were experiencing reproach. Now we know they were being human trafficked and robbed and killed and
That's
attacked.
beyond just mischief.
Mischief and reproach and affliction. Now we understand, have an idea what type of affliction is being talked about. Read on.
The wall of Jerusalem also is broken down.
But the wall had been broken down since 586. Read on.
And the gates thereof are burned with fire.
Okay, and the gates are burned with fire. What fire? How are the gates burned? Now listen, you have the way the wall was set up. You had walls and you had gates that were like from the north, south, east, and west that allowed travelers and horses and different supplies to come in. You had the north gate, which had access to
the temple. You had the east gate, south gate. You had multiple gates that were burnt with fire also. So the gates were burnt, the walls were broken down, but they had been so for over 100 couple years, 100, 200 years. Okay? Now, what I wanted to go out there is there were attempts to reestablish the wall, but they just were thwarted by the nations. Ezra 4 and 12. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Ezra 4 and 12 and verse 17 through 24. Let me just read that, sir.
Be it known unto the king that the Jews which came up from thee to us are come unto Jerusalem, building the rebellious in the bad city, and have set up the walls thereof, and joined the foundation.
So, what this is, matter of fact, I'm trying to, I don't want to read it and take too much away from the topic, but all the surrounding nations came together and wrote a letter to King Cambyses explaining that the Jews were going to build their temple up and rebuild their walls. And that was supposed to be done during Zerubbabel's time. Okay? Read on. Did you finish verse 12?
You wanted 17 minutes?
17 through 24.
Then sent the king an answer unto Ruam, the chancellor.
So once again, I'm jumping because I didn't want to go and just do a whole bunch of reading. But in this letter that the nations spearheaded by the chancellor of Samaria, were saying that the Jews are going to rebel against you. They have a history of rebelling. If they get this temple together, they get these walls together, they're going to rebel against you and not pay your taxes. And not pay their taxes because they have a history of not paying their taxes. Okay? Read on.
Then sent, 17. Then sent the king an answer unto Ream the chancellor, and to Shimshai the scribe, and to the rest of their companions that dwell in Samaria, and unto the rest beyond the river. Peace, and at such a time. The letter which he sent unto us hath been plainly read before me.
So this is what Cambyses said in response to the letter that was trying to shut down construction of the temple and the walls that King Cyrus had originally said it was okay. Read on.
And I commanded, and search hath been made, and it is found that this city of old time hath made insurrection against kings, and that rebellion and sedition have been made therein. There have been mighty kings also over Jerusalem, which have ruled over all countries beyond the river, and told tribute and custom was paid unto them.
So he's saying there's hypocrisy in how the Jews operate. When they were on top, they made everybody pay their tolls and their dues. But when it was time for them to sit back and pay their restitution, they were going to rebel. Read on.
Give ye now commandment to cause these men to cease, and that this city be not builded, until another commandment shall be given from me.
So it says, until I die or I give a commandment, no construction stops. Whether it was the temple or the surrounding walls around it. Read on.
Take heed now that ye fail not to do this. Why should damage grow to the hurt of the kings?
Yep. So why should this repair of this area end up being damage to my empire? Where I got to sit back and endure costly sieges and the cost of what it takes to feed men and feed empires and feed this war
cutbacks.
Because war costs money.
Yeah.
I got to pay soldiers. I got to pay more soldiers, more money, and I'm already fighting a war in Egypt. Cambyses like, I'm already fighting in Egypt. Why do I have to sit back here and spend more resources dealing with some rebellious Jews that are going to get built up and rebel anyway?
What's the rate of return on this?
It ain't no return. Read on.
Now, when the copy of King Artaxerxes' letter was read before Ream.
Now, as you read in Ezra and Nehemiah, every king's name is Artaxerxes.
So this is a line of men.
It's a line of men, but in actuality, it was Cambyses because that was the son of King Cyrus who just died. Read on.
And Shimshai, the scribe, and their companions, they went up in haste to Jerusalem unto the Jews, and made them to cease by force and power. Then ceased the work of the house of the Most High, which is at Jerusalem.
So the house of the Most High, and eventually the walls were ceased at that particular time in the construction. Read on.
So it ceased unto the 2nd year of the reign of King Darius Slakia. So it ceased unto the 2nd year of the reign of Darius, king of Persia.
Exactly. So, and when that happened, the temple was only made, and there was many more years needed to get to until we can even deal with these walls. So let's get back to Nehemiah, chapter 1, verse 4 now.
Nehemiah 1 and 4. And it came to pass when I heard these words, that I sat down and wept, and mourned certain days, and fasted.
Now we understand why Nehemiah wept and why Nehemiah mourned. Because he understood, he got all the tea about the troubles Israel was going through. He sat back here, heard about his kinsmen and how they were being violated and exploited and spoiled. Now we understand, it's important to know these little details in Josephus, because when you hear spoil, when you hear affliction, and you hear how people break down in tears, now we understand why.
And you can get a little bitty, I guess, relation to this if you listen to the Marvin Gaye record, What's Going On, and the song's about, how's the ball club been, how the people been, how we won the pennant. I haven't seen you, my friend. He just came back from Vietnam. Have things been going like the newspaper says? He's trying to get connected to what's going on in his city. He's been gone for years. That's what the song projects. And so there's a connection to, I care about my community. The reason why this is a little foreign to us is because this society doesn't really teach within our people, or we don't value within our people, how is my community doing? It's about the individual. And when you go look at the new generation, Generation Z, Generation Alpha, all those generations, it's about fractionating human connection. And now it's about different, my likes, where our likes are different. The internet has really disconnected social skills and social connection and social, basic social love between people. So now that idea of community has diminished. But in this time period, you live and breathe and live and die based off of the caliber or the quality of your nation's estate. The estate of your people matter because it affects you. People care. So I love the fact that we're going with this type of class out.
Done. So you good?
I'm good.
Okay. So what Nehemiah did, he wept, he mourned, and he fasted and prayed to the Most High. Okay, to try to figure out maybe what he could do. Because he was in a position of authority in Persia.
Because he was the cupbearer, right?
He was the cupbearer. But what you're going to find out is that when you think of the cupbearer, you just think of this guy, he's just a sucker that drinks the alcohol like before the king does. Or he's a sucker that eats a piece of the meat. And is a sucker that eats the piece of the steak. And if you don't choke, it's going to be okay. But as you're going to read about Nehemiah had leadership skills, organization skills. He was thorough. He had itemized schedules of how to do things. So as we read about Nehemiah, it kind of lets you know, even back in those days, he was an organized individual, even in the reign of Artaxerxes, to where he was respected not just because he ate the first of the king's meals, but he was able to orchestrate probably his security. He was able to sit back and be on top of the meal prep, of the meals. You think he's going to sit back here and take a risk of him dying?
Right. You talking about controlling the kitchen. When you're the cupbearer, you control the kitchen.
That's the point.
And when you manage the kitchen, if anybody ever been in restaurant business, the kitchen is always busy.
Who's that Edomite guy? That top chef guy is always talking about how your meal wasn't good
enough.
That dude. Who's that guy?
Nightmare
He's
Kitchen.
An Aussie or something, right?
Nightmare Kitchen Emerald?
He's a Brit or he's an Aussie? I think he's probably a Brit. What's that guy?
Ramsey.
I watched the show.
Yeah, it's Ramsey. It's something Ramsey.
Yeah.
This is a horrible tomato paste. Like, okay.
People could die from this. Because they always serve
the temperature isn't
the
done right.
seafood's always served really bad out, poorly out.
Yeah. I don't watch the show, but I remember him cussing people out and they promote the show. But yeah, listen, but you got to really be on your P's and Q's and have you have to have inventory of the food. the shipments, who's in control of the shipments. That's a very detail-oriented position.
Dysentery broke out. Sorry, you had E. coli, Salakia.
Yeah. The king
is
almost
sick.
dead. Yeah.
The king is sick for 2 weeks, guys.
Listen,
Sorry.
he's in charge of the food, where it's coming from,
Yeah.
how it's getting there, how it's being cooked, how it's being preserved. He's in charge of all that now. You just not some simple guy. I'll eat it. I'll try it first.
Yeah. This is good. This is good. They put salt on this. What kind of salt is this?
I'll try it. I don't have no regard for my life. What's going on? Like, it makes goddamn goofy out.
I love the king's food. He's such good food.
It's free lunch. It's not like that. This guy actually organized everything. And you're going to see his organizational skills and his leadership skills when he has to orchestrate the temple and the construction of the temple. You're going to see how this guy wasn't just some simple guy just eating the king's food and protecting him from death.
And this is why it's important on our jobs to be skillful in what we do, so that when the nation needs us, we can bring those skill sets to the camp.
God, that's the point. And that's why the Most High chose him, because of his faith, his belief, and his leadership skills. So, with that being the case, he's praying and mourning about the condition of Israel and what they're suffering, right? Read on.
And said, I beseech thee, O Yahweh, power of heaven, the great and terrible Yahweh, that keepeth covenant and mercy for them that love him and observe his commandments.
Most High is truly great and terrible. He's great because when we're on point and he gives us mercy, his mercy is great. When we're out of line and we don't appreciate him,
it's a bad day.
His punishments are terrible. We read this in Hebrews a few weeks ago about how he says, knowing the terror of the Most High, we persuade men. We persuade people knowing how bad it could get if we're out of order with him. So the Most High is great and terrible at the same time. Okay, and people in the church, they don't want to accept that. He's both. He is great. He is to be loved, and he's also to be feared. When you want to step out of bounds, nobody wants to keep people on their toes on the other side. The Most High loves and he punishes greatly. So this is Nehemiah acknowledging both sides of the Most High's power. Okay? And he says, so read verse 5 again, sir.
And said, I beseech thee, O Yahweh, power of heaven, the great and terrible Yahweh, that keepeth covenant and mercy for them that love him and observe his commandments. Let thine ear now be attentive and thine eyes open, that thou mayest hear the prayer of thy servant, which I pray before thee now, day and night, for the children of Israel thy servants, and confess the sins of the children of Israel.
So you know what the first thing he knows? He's saddened about all the negative that's happening in Jerusalem. But he also acknowledges what? We sinned, man. We sinned and we're continuously sinning, and that's why this is happening. A godly man and woman always can understand that the challenges that they're facing and dealing with is because of their own actions. We have to have that capability. I'm in my situation because the Most High is stinging me. At least you have to have that initial thought. Why are we catching this hell? What have I done to put myself in a situation where the Most High is making my life so challenging?
Well, if you have a godly conscience, then you know you're not innocent. Yeah. You know you brought it upon yourself, and Nehemiah is able to understand and interpret the suffering like we're not able to do all the time. We're not able to interpret the fact that, is this condition a punishment from the Lord because the Lord don't like me, or the Lord's an evil God, he's a bad power, or is it the fact that I brought this level of suffering on myself, or is this just spirits? Or is this just Satan? Or is this just some weird bad luck?
Happenstance.
Like some people say, who have no ability to interpret the fact that these situations that I'm in this condition, I brought this upon myself. Yeah. A lot of people can't see that. That's why he says, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you, as if some strange thing happened unto you. Because what we look at it is like, man, this don't belong to me. This is not mine.
I've been on point.
What did I do to deserve this?
Yeah, what do I do to deserve this? Because that's what strange means. That's belonging to someone else and not you.
This is crazy.
So I can't believe that I'm in this situation. Why are we so shocked that when we're in tribulation?
Right.
We're shocked because we don't accept the fact that we brought it on ourselves because we're always the victim. I'm the victim, so it's somebody else's fault I'm in this condition. So we'd rather point the finger and not say, man, I brought this on myself.
Kind of. Hold that and give me Isaiah 42, verse 25. Isaiah 42, verses 22 to 25. Isaiah 42, 22 to 25. Read that, sir.
But this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes.
He says, Israel is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes and traps and circumstances that they can't get out of. You're like, this is us. The predicament that we're in America, we're in a snare, we're in a trap. And the condition we was in Jerusalem, that was a snare and a trap. Wherever you look up, you were destined to catch a roadblock. Whether it was extreme poverty or whatever you worked hard for is getting stolen and robbed and spoiled. Not living in any type of conditions of peace. He said Israel is a people robbed and spoiled. Read on.
They are all of them snared in holes.
Read on.
And they are hid in prison houses.
They are hid in prison houses. What is that saying? We're hiding, and we're hiding from people coming to take us out. Life is a prison. Can you imagine being in Jerusalem when people are robbing you and stealing you every damn day long? Life is a prison. You can't even sit back here and walk out of your own house without the expectation somebody might take you. Life is a prison house. Read on.
They are for
and it says they are hid in prison houses because the people that get abducted, where are they going? They're going to prison and captivity and slavery. Read on.
They are for a prey, and none deliver it.
When it says they are like a prey, think about the nature shows. When those water buffaloes are crossing the water, those last ones that are dragging along, that are older and can't move around, or they're just too heavy, or they're too young, and they're not strong enough to keep up. They're the prey. They're a sitting duck. He said Israel is a sitting duck, and they're vulnerable for being attacked and exploited. Read on.
They are for a prey, and none deliver it.
And none delivereth. Nobody's able to take them out of their circumstance. Read on.
For a spoil, and none saith, restore.
And nobody is fighting to restore them back to the proper spaces. The sad thing is, the only ones that was in their heart to try to restore Israel was Zerubbabel, Ezra, and Nehemiah. 3 men out of a matter of fact, I think it was 515 when Israel got themselves together. So it was out of a 100-year span, only 3 people had it in them to help restore us. Because the temple got reestablished in 515 BC, and where we're at now is approximately 414 BC. So around 100 years, only 3 people were capable, were humble enough, and spiritual enough to sit back here and help get us restored.
Because we have lots of people that have a ideal or idea or concept of wanting to do good for people, but their God's not the God of Israel.
Huh?
And you can look at
or
that.
They're not humble enough to get it done.
Well, you have the Panthers, that movement. When you look at that movement, it wasn't a spiritual movement. They made sense on a logistical level, having lunch programs, on a conceptual level about having community, but they didn't have a spiritual component to them. Mm-hmm. Then you deal with the political regime. You deal with these cats that were out here marching and doing sit-ins and doing the government. And, they deal with God, and we love God and this and that. But the application, the script, the MLK never there's not one scripture that MLK quoted, ever. But our people got locked in that movement. Then we have the athletes. We're going to follow the athletes. What's his name? Muhammad Ali, celebrities, Tupac Shakur. Now LeBron James is a social justice figure. And Colin Kaepernick, because they can tweet and say certain things. Listen, these men have a conscience towards the people but it's never connected with keeping the commandments and serving the Heavenly Father. That's why there's so few men. There's people that try, like Malcolm X. He did the best he could do. But who was his God?
Not the Most High.
It wasn't the God of the Bible. It wasn't the God of the Hebrews. It was an independent God outside the Bible. So we have men that are competent in certain aspects, but they're always biblically and spiritually incompetent. They deal with our people from a premise that we're not Israelites, that we're not Hebrews, that we're quote-unquote African. You got Dr. Umar Johnson right now. He's going hard, saying he always goes, he says we need to go back to Africa and go back to the African gods. He's pushing us to go back to the African gods. That's what he's pushing for. When you get further into the conversation,
while he's commingling economic freedom.
Yeah, economic freedom. Getting the black family back together to go back to African gods. You see the incompetence? It's always men that speak and have a quote-unquote ability to draw people, but they never draw people to the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High. They never draw the people back to order and structure according to the scriptures. It's to a political regime, or like Shawshawan said, an economic regime, or back to old gods, back to Horus and Isis and Ra. We're Egyptians. Or go back to the old gods of West Africa. It's never back to the God of the Bible. And that's why there's 100 years that go by, you only have 3 guys that really believe in the Most High. Do you see why? Israel as a whole is still disconnected from the Most High. And so when you do have men that have some ability, they have the ability, but they don't have the spiritual understanding. Therefore, the people fail. What's the last scripture we were in?
Isaiah 42 and now 23.
Uh-huh.
Who among you will give ear to this? Who will hearken and hear for the time to come? Who gave Jacob for a spoil and Israel to the robbers?
Who gave Jacob for a spoil and Israel to the robbers? Our life and death and our estate is completely in the Most High's hands. We are completely in the Most High's hands. He's the one writing your story. He's the one protecting your household. We don't want to give credence and acknowledgement to the Most High on a daily basis, but who else is the one protecting us from these invaders, these robbers, these political conditions, or from really being affected from the fall of the nation that is our slave master, quote unquote? Who's really keeping us and protecting us from these bad times? Or when these bad times hit, who's the one defending your family? Who's the one defending the estate of your household? It's only the Most High. So who deserves the majority of our attention is my point. The lion's share of our attention does not go to the Most High. But he controls our complete estate at any time. Read that point one more time.
Come on. Who gave Jacob for a spoil and Israel to the robbers? Did not Yahweh, he amongst whom we have sinned? For they would not walk in his ways.
Even though this is the guy that protects our wall, that keeps our walls up, that keeps our houses in order, that keeps our families correct, we still don't want to we don't value the protection we've been receiving from the Most High. We take it for granted. And therefore we have to be humble by being put in these situations that we can't control. We blame it on the news, we blame it on the government, we blame it on the white man, we blame it on the nations. We don't blame it on the fact that we were uncompliant, that we weren't compliant for so long of a time, that he allowed us to be subject to these conditions, to payments, to economics. Read.
Did not Yahweh, he against whom we have sinned? For they would not walk in his ways, neither were they obedient unto his laws.
You could read that in Baruch chapter 4 verse 5 real quick too. It says the same thing, because it's telling us where our condition comes from. It was because we provoked the Most High and moved the Most High to jealousy. And because of the consequence is in our favor. Read that in chapter 4 verse 5.
Be of good cheer, my people. The memorial of Israel. You were sold to the nations, not for your destruction, but because he the Most High to wrath.
Why were we sold to the nations?
Because he the Most High to wrath.
Why do we speak Spanish, French, English, German, Dutch, Portuguese? Why do we speak all these non-native languages?
Because he moved the Most High to wrath.
Read on.
You were delivered unto the enemies.
It said we got delivered to who?
the enemies.
That's how we got in this condition we're in now. Read on.
For ye provoked him that made you by sacrificing unto devils.
He said because we don't want to let go of what?
The devils.
The devils that we believe in.
Brother.
Because the devils look like they have it easier. The devils look like their lifestyle is a little bit more at ease.
Mm-hmm.
We envy the devil's lifestyle.
But the funny thing is, we envy the devil's lifestyle when we had comforts the Most High gave us.
Yep.
But then when we sat back here and replaced the strength and stability we had here to go chase those devils, what did we get in return? Fear, suffering, loss, pain. That trade ain't worth it.
A condition you cannot get out of like that. I love what you're saying.
You got more numbers?
No, that's it. Just bring it up on that point.
Let's jump real quick. I know we're on Isaiah.
This is stupid.
I know it must be something, I don't know. Let's jump to Lamentations chapter 1, verse 1. We're going to read down a little bit. Salakia, everybody, on this audio. I don't know what's going on.
Go again, bro. It must be the internet connection, bro.
So look at hello. It's even going kind of weird. Hello on the camera. Hello. Don't know. Maybe we switch out.
Yeah. Can you hear it now? Can you hear anything now? Not at all?
Blank now.
Then we switched it back.
Might be the internet, bro.
Hello.
Read that Isaiah. Go back to that Isaiah 42. And I know we hit Lamentations.
Yeah. Let's do Isaiah 42. Finish it up. Then we'll go to Lamentations.
It's pretty clear.
Okay.
There's a delay there.
Can you hear it now?
Okay, the sound's back. Okay, let's do it.
Isaiah 42 and
Isaiah 42 and I think it's 23, 24.
23.
Okay, read that.
Who among you will give ear to this? Who will hearken and hear for the time to come? Who gave Jacob for a spoil and Israel to the robbers?
Con.
Did not the Most High?
The Most High gave us as a spoil because of our wickedness. That was the reason for going back in this verse. The Most High allowed us to be a spoil to the nations because of our conduct. So as Nehemiah is praying and mourning about the conditions of Israel, we have to always remember that we were allowed to be a spoil by these nations because of our conduct. It always goes back to us, man.
And it's a consequence of a bad outlook. We've been going for the past, we want to be real about it.
Yeah. 6 weeks.
6 weeks deep.
Regret, bitterness,
faith.
Yeah.
Why are we going with faith, outlook, faith? Because you
go
here.
It was the summer. It was the summer of Paul's faith.
Yeah, listen. Because after the faith diminishes, the outlook diminishes, then what happens? The sin increases.
Yep.
Because I see everything in a negative perspective.
Then the idolatry increases.
Then you go from no faith, bad outlook, increase of sin, idolatry is up, and all of a sudden now my protection is down. And then now my kids and myself or our family and my estate, we're in this condition where we can't control anything. We have no control over our daily life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is there is a dilapidating effect over time for not working on our conscience as a nation.
Yep.
We also
because our conscience, the issue with our conscience, we think the Most High is not equal.
Yeah.
It goes back to us not thinking the Most High is equal, and that our life is not how it should be. And we just don't have the capacity to be appreciative for all the good the Lord's given us.
True.
So for the new style thinkers or the new age thinkers, a lot of people we got different people that come in these chat rooms and stuff like that. People say you manifested this spirit. We manifest the spirit. Psalm 1 in the scripture about a man in control of his thoughts. You're like a city broken down without walls. Meaning, if you don't get your mind clean, your mind correct, your outlook prepared, you lose your walls spiritually. But over time, what happens? It happens over time. What? Physically. Over time, you manifest those same conditions that are inside your spirit to outside your spirit.
Yeah.
High blood pressure type.
Huh?
Like high blood pressure type. Like when you say manifest physically.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, well, no, if you eat bad food and make bad choices, it has a consequence. There's a negative consequence to it. It's no different than the consequences that come from not keeping the Most High's commandments. If you don't feed your spirit with healthy food, there's a consequence to it. You have two parts to it. You have a physical side that needs to be fed daily, which is breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Usually feeds that and takes care of that. But what's feeding your spiritual side? When do you feed your spiritual side? So a lot of people in life, they just eat food and to sustain the flesh. But what about the spirit? So if you don't sustain the spirit, your spiritual well-being and your connection with the Heavenly Father, then what happens to you in total? Then there's a dilapidated condition. There's a breakdown. Then your lifestyle breaks down, and then everything that and as far as your protection, your security, your safety, your confidence, all these things are forfeited and put out the window. They go out the window. And then now when I pray to the Most High say He heareth not sinners. So if I don't feed myself spiritually, even when I need the Most High don't answer. He doesn't answer my prayers. So then when I call on the Lord and I need some help me.
Yeah.
We're in a bad situation. We want the Most High to come through, but He doesn't come through because we hadn't been feeding our spirit as well. Not like high blood pressure, but just there's a consequence to it. From negating the Most High's commandments.
Spiritual consequence.
Spiritual consequence.
Where's God? You're thinking short term. The Most High's thinking long term.
Yeah.
It's like where have you been for the past 5 years, 10 years?
There's a breakdown.
Yeah. So, let's continue in verse 24.
Who gave Jacob for a spoil and Israel to the robbers?
So who allowed our children to be human trafficked back in these days? Who allowed us to get robbed of our goods and our livelihood when these nations were coming and spoiling us during the time of Nehemiah and Ezra? Read on.
If there was a God, why is the bad things on earth happening?
People always say that.
There was a God. Why are people suffering if there's a God? Why is there human trafficking if there is a God? These are things that people hear. We hear.
Yep.
These are concepts people have, but they take no acknowledgement that this is a breakdown because of impiety.
And nationalistic. This is nationalistic impiety.
Yeah.
Especially for us.
Yeah.
Read on.
Did not the Most High, He against whom we have sinned? For they would not walk in His ways, neither were they obedient unto His law.
And this goes back to this. Isaiah is writing this as a future what? We were in our power during the time of Isaiah. We were at our apex of power. So this is a prophecy about how our nation was going to degrade and fall apart. Okay, read on.
Therefore He hath poured upon them the fury of His anger, and the strength of battle, and it hath set him on fire round about. Yet he knew not, and it burned him, yet he laid it not to heart.
So it made the Most High furious. So he had to sit back here and bring out that terrible nature of him. But on the flip side, he was merciful enough to eventually get this wall set up. Before we go into that wall, let's go to Lamentations. And hopefully this chapter will kind of give a little bit of clarity as to the magnitude of what happened post Jerusalem's fall in 586 BC. Read this verse, or chapter 1, verse 1 down.
How doth the city sit solitary that was full of people?
Because even to the time of Nehemiah, the city was solitary. As you're going to read in Nehemiah, one of the things Nehemiah had to do once the walls were complete, he had to shuck and jive and do whatever he could to get the city populated out. The city was like a ghost town now. Jerusalem barely had any people living in there.
Come back.
Because of what? because of how bad it was.
Real thugs out.
Because of the real
thugs.
thug stuff, real criminal activity. So everybody left the cities already. So after he reestablishes the wall, he had to sit back on a full-fledged marketing campaign to get the Jews, get people back, to get people to gain confidence in rehabitating the city. We'll read that later on in the chapter. So he's saying the city is solitary from the time of the fall when Jeremiah was there, but it kept happening even when he were trying to bring people in. People wouldn't stay. The very few that came, the very small percentage of people that actually migrated back to Jerusalem, ended up leaving and going back to the farms or other countries when they saw how bad it was and how unsafe it was for their families.
I can't live like this.
That's the point.
Go.
I'm better off in Babylon.
I better go home.
I'm better off going to Persia. At least my family's protected. This is how bad it was in Jerusalem. Read on.
How doth the city sit solitary, that was full of people? How is she become as a widow, that she was great among the nations?
It's showing how great of a fall off we experienced. Read on.
And princes among the provinces. How is she become tributary?
Now we're a tributary that can't even afford a wall. Read on.
She weepeth sore in the night.
Hell yeah, she's weeping sore in the night. Because in the night, what's happening?
Now we know why.
Those invaders are coming in at night.
Weeping sore in the night doesn't mean I'm just sad because it's dark.
Yeah, or the city is just sad. There's no lights on. Yeah, they show pictures of South Korea and North Korea. They said, you know how North Korea is messed up? Look at the nighttime in North Korea. Nobody has lights on. That's how everybody knows North Korea is in a bad spot and South Korea is a thriving metropolis, growing. Cool. But it's showing the same thing in Israel. Nights were solitary. Nights were sad. There was weeping at night. Because there was robbing and stealing and killing. And other violating things happening at night. Yes, says you had a question or a statement?
I just wanted to see where we were.
We're in Lamentations chapter 1, verse 2. So read verse 2 again.
God. She weepeth sore in the night.
The people wept at night also. Because of those raiders. Read on.
In her tears are on her cheeks. Among all her lovers, she hath none to comfort her.
So what he's saying, of all these nations that you want to learn about their gods and idols, guess what? Those nations, thieves came to take from you. All the lovers of those kingdoms and nations, and you were all into these countries and their cultures. You just love the culture of Ammon and Moab and Edom.
You gotta be open-minded.
Guess who was sitting back here and robbing you and coming in late at night and taking your children? Those same cultures.
Yep. Whose gods you wanted to worship?
Whose gods you wanted to worship? So what good was the opening up new horizons and learning new cultures and beliefs and gods? They were the ones exploiting you. Where were your lovers? Did they protect you and your family when you guys are getting robbed and taken advantage of? And more than likely, the people that you followed, their idols and their gods, these people who robbed you had those same idols in heart when they took advantage of you.
No.
So what good was that pursuit? Read on.
And some people had a Psalms 83 meeting against you.
The whole world was against you, but you want to follow their idols. Don't make any sense.
You want to pray to Allah.
God. But those are the ones who sat back here and was cutting the men's stuff off and shooting you over to damn India. That happened. That's the trans-Saharan slave trade.
They had you as mercenaries. They had wars, slave wars.
Bro, this is horrible. Well, let's continue. Verse 2 from the top.
God. She weepeth sore in the night, and her tears are on her cheeks. Among all her lovers, she hath none to comfort her. All her friends have dealt treacherously.
All these nations that you were flirting with and playing with, they end up taking advantage of you when you hit rock bottom.
God.
You thought Moab and Ammon and Syria was going to look after you. They didn't. They turned their back on you when you were expecting them to look after you. Read on.
All her friends have dealt treacherously with her. They are become her enemies.
On the whole, that means that Israel at one time we was in power had the assumption that the nations had our back. Just like we do now in America. We walk around here think our enemies are really cool with us.
They're cool with minorities.
Until it takes a situation like Katrina
Yep.
to realize when the bus shows up to the Superdome and the National Guard points the guns at you, and they tell you to stay in the Superdome, but they take all the white and the Chinese out of the Superdome. You know, but you got to stay there. But they get bust out.
Then you realize how dark skinned you are.
Yeah, then you realize that in America you still don't hold any weight.
You're like, man, I guess I am dark skinned.
I think of that Family Guy chart where Peter's holding
Yeah.
up. It's got that color scheme on it.
Golly, if you saw it, you get it.
God.
And they're like, listen, man, are you allowed to go over this? First of all, are you allowed to go over this gate or this? Yeah, you're light enough. Come on in.
Yeah.
The other guy, no, you can't go here. You're too dark. You can't cross this area. It's comedy, but many truths are brought out in jest time. And a lot of times, our people, we forget who our enemy is, and we're so trying to fit in all the time and assimilate and give ourselves to their culture that we lose our own culture, and we end up getting stung because we don't want to sit back and just hold strong to our beliefs and our culture, and we get stung because of it.
Yeah. Or when Russia first started invading Ukraine, and all the buses that bus people out of there took the Ukrainians, left all the black folks there in Ukraine. There's a lot of black people in Ukraine.
They talk about that.
They left them to walk out of Ukraine.
Oh my God!
Listen, man, I'm gonna say
bad
this:
day right there.
Ukraine was bad before Russia came over. You don't want to be black in Ukraine now.
Yeah.
Listen, there's a 4-letter group that does not like black people out, and they're full of them in Ukraine now. They sit back here and they idolize this guy named Stefan Bandera, who was notably anti-black, anti-anything that's not pure Aryan. You don't want to be black in Ukraine, bro. You don't want to play soccer in Ukraine. You don't want to do nothing in Ukraine. This is before. Listen, what's crazy is Vice had a documentary on Ukraine before everything went bad. And listen, even the United States knows that they had a NAZI problem in that area before the Ukrainian war started, and they used that movement and they funded that movement and their military to go against Russia, and they prepped that since 2004. That's been going on. But Kana, you realize what you are when the you know what hits the fan.
Yeah.
Then you realize you weren't part of this group, and you should never even align yourself with this group.
I'm a doctor.
Doesn't matter. And this is what we're sitting back here in Judah realize. We were trying to make these allegiances with these nations, intermingle our marriages and our children with these nations until things get bad. Change our work and start giving ourselves different idolatries and their belief systems. And it didn't work out for us. Well, let's continue. Verse 3.
And this is what the Most High said, an ox knoweth his master's crib.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but Israel don't know. We don't know where home is at.
Ghana.
And so we get displaced, and then we get left behind when society starts to break down.
God.
Just like every other time society has broken down, you get reminded where you are. That you're not in the upper echelon. You're not in the respectable social circles like you think you are.
Yep. All facts.
They're gonna Tiger Woods you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yo, it's all good till they don't want you no
cut
more.
you off.
Till they don't want you no more.
All that sponsorship money's out the door.
Yeah.
Let's get verse 3.
Kind of 3. Judah has gone into captivity because of affliction and because of great servitude.
Great servitude, tears at night, captivity, with tributaries. Read on.
She dwelleth among the heathen. She findeth no rest.
This is what it means where Israel dwells amongst the heathen. Now you have no protection, no wall, and that these heathen aren't giving Israel no rest.
No alliances either.
You have no alliances. Now you have nothing of value for them to take from you. Now they're going to steal from you. They don't respect you. They don't respect us. Now they're going to exploit us. What's happening now? You know we're like the number one consumers in the United States, right? They just use us for our consuming power. They know we're not going to save money up and buy property. Listen, when they gave us that Katrina money, we gave it right back to them, man.
Yeah.
You ever see that damn Chappelle show out when the reparations kicked in out? And they're like, listen, these guys are going to sit back and give them the money, give it right back to us. They said the S&P 500 and Dow Jones is at an all-time high. Remember they said KFC stock was at an all-time high? Remember that crazy story? Cadillac. They said Cadillac stock is high, KFC stock is high. And that's mocking. But it might not be KFC, But listen, Jake gonna blow money
Nike.
to buy cars and to buy clothes. It's stupid,
And give it right back to the
nation.
To the jury, for the jury.
Versus sitting back here and pulling our money together and just buying property. That's a real damn thing. The sad thing is that even in Katrina, I forgot how much money each family member got. You remember? I think it was like 5,000.
Yeah, it was
5 to 6,000.
FEMA money.
If exactly. So if everybody in families just pulled their money together,
some did actually. A very small few actually opened up restaurants.
You could build something off that, or put a down payment on some property.
Trailers too.
Huh?
They put them in trailers too, so they have free housing.
If they just would have pulled their money together, even if you just joined with families, you could buy property. But people weren't thinking that way. It was just shopping. We were open. We had the stores and the malls. They were just shopping galore. People were just blowing money.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm not knocking our people. I mean, I love them, Mike, but we got to get it together. But now at this particular situation, we're dwelling with the heathen, and there's no rest. Read on.
She findeth no rest. All her persecutors overtook her between the streets.
Listen, between our suffering, in the middle of our suffering, the nations were just exploiting us. They were beating us when we were down. That's why Israel, remember when they were asking the last little Hebrew community that was in Jerusalem, they asked, listen, should we go to Egypt or should we stay here? And they said, Jeremiah, whatever you say, we'll do. Jeremiah said, the Most High said, stay. He said, we're going to Egypt. Yep. Like, why'd you ask the Most High's opinion if you weren't going to stay in the first place?
They didn't like the answer.
They didn't want to hear the answer. But the reality is, this was the fear that their persecutors were going to just keep attacking them and keep going at them and keep trying to harm them. And that fear kept them from having enough faith the Lord was going to protect them. Okay? Read verse 4. I think that's you.
Yeah.
The ways of Zion do mourn, because none come to the solemn feast.
Why am I going to go to the feast when there's a chance I might get robbed and taken advantage of? Read on. People don't, at the time, they weren't in the mindset to relax and enjoy ourselves and enjoy each other's company. They were fearing for their lives. So when people are in fight or flight, there's no solemn feast going on with Israel. Read on.
All her gates are desolate.
All the gates are desolate. No protection, no fortification. I don't know if I have it on this map. I do. If you sit back here and look at the wall, this is the rebuilt wall, and we'll be going into this wall over the next few weeks. All these little squares are gates. You got the Fish Gate on the northeast side, the Old Gate on the left side, Ephraim Gate on the west side. Then you have towers and gates. The Valley Gate southeast, the Water Gate southeast, the Valley Gate is southwest. You have towers, prison gates, sheep gates, because that's obviously for the sheep to go through and get slaughtered. Towers and gates are all around the temple. And what they're saying is that the gates are desolate because the gates were blown out. The gates were these big, tall wooden gates. They got broken down. The fences got broken down. There's no protection. Okay. All her gates are desolate, and her priest side. Because how are we going to sit back and conduct these high holidays when there's no protection for us? It just don't make sense. So read verse 4 again.
The ways of Zion do mourn, because none come to the solemn feasts. All her gates are desolate. Her priests sigh. Her virgins are afflicted.
Now we know how the virgins are afflicted. This is messed up. Broad daylight, these kind of scenarios were occurring. Read on.
Her virgins are afflicted, and she is in bitterness.
Trauma. From the experiences that these children have to go through. These young women have to go through. These young boys have to go through. Read on.
Her adversaries are the chief. her enemies prosper.
Her adversaries are the chief of all the surrounding nations around them. They're setting up policies to keep them broken down. They're setting up policies to keep their walls open.
Because there's a benefit.
There is a benefit. Because as long as Israel is broken down, the rest of the nations are allowed to prosper.
People said there's no competition. There's no sitting here. There's no threat.
Okay.
You're diminishing threats.
And then that also, if I keep you broke, you got to buy whatever little remaining money you got. You're paying it to who? Why do you think these Kenyans are going crazy? I don't know if you heard about like the Kenyan people are revolting against the government out there because the taxation is so high you can't even buy a loaf of bread. So these Kenyan people are going out here protesting at the government center, and guess what the governments are doing? What the president's doing? They're getting rifled down when they're protesting. They don't tell you that on television. But the president of Kenya is following the instructions of the IMF banks that they're indebted to. And the IMF banks are ordering the Kenyan president to sit back and create inflationary taxes to where people can't sustain themselves. And now that president has to deal with the blowback of following the order of the banking institution that's keeping them sustained. And this is how, through banking and the power of money and policy, you keep an entire country broken down and in the Stone Age. That's what Africa is. They're constantly in debt, high interest loan debt, one, and then now once you're in high interest rate debt, the IMF, and I forgot the other banking institution that they go to, but the IMF is like the worst of the banks. Because the IMF, they have the highest interest rates you got to pay back. And once you're in these crazy IMF loans, you have to start changing policy if you can't pay the debt off. And most of these countries can't. For instance, if I got the damn African, whatever the hell, Zimbabwe coin, which is 10-1, how am I going to pay off my debt in dollars? It's not going to happen. And then once I can't pay it, then they come back and they say, okay, listen, man, I know you can't pay the debt. So in turn, we'll stretch out and push back your debt. You're still going to pay the debt. We'll just push it back. We'll keep hiking up the interest rate. But in the time being, let us put a military base on your country.
Yep.
We want a military base, and if you want further on money, you can no longer grow grain crop on your property, on your land. You can't grow grains. You can't grow staple foods on your property. You can only make chocolate.
You gotta go into more debt.
And you can only create and produce chocolate. So if you can't feed a nation on damn chocolate, or you can't feed a nation on some damn hummus, whatever the hell it is, coffee. We'll take that from you, and we want it for pennies on the dollar, so you can't make no profit either. But that's the deal from getting loans. So they keep you in a perpetual debt trap. I can't feed my own people, and also since you can't make your own grain, you got to buy the grain from Europe. You got to buy German grain. Is it really German grain, or Germans get it from a third party and marking it up? Then you got to buy it at a marked up rate.
They white label off of these nations that suffer.
And so they get the other country. They get their grain from Ukraine, the dirty bad Ukraine, the dirty bad
That sounds pretty bad. It's like you're at a party or something. Bass in the background.
Okay.
Then we can switch it to this to the computer cell audio. Built-in microphone. No, go to the built-in microphone. That one.
Okay, can you guys hear us? Let us know. We just changed microphones. Huh? And that's roaring. No, we have another mic. We got to do that maybe next time. Can you guys let us know if the mic is sufficient? We switched the mic again.
Updated. It's like this thing's out.
No, I know we just switched it up. I know, I get it. Now we're switching it up. Guys, listen, what about this one now? Hello.
Yeah, he could hear.
This sounds way clearer.
Yeah.
That's the built-in mic. We're good. Okay, let's do it. Salakia, y'all. I mean, I don't know what to say. We have another microphone. We'll just start using that from here on out. Okay. We'll use another microphone we have in the back. But it's too late to do it right now. So that's how the IMF works, and they're sitting back here and keeping these third world countries in a perpetual state of being broke. But that's what was happening with the Samaritans and the surrounding countries around Israel and Judah. They were creating policies to keep us perpetually broke and subservient to them. This is why, as whenever you read about the Samaritans who are coming to offer their hand to help in the reconstruction, we always said, no, we have no part with you, we'll do it on our own. Because anything that they do to help, it comes with a cost. And you have to sit back here and pay us and keep you guys in debt for long stretches of time. You have thoughts?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that when they have them grow these crops, like the IMF has them grow the crops, more or less it causes soil degradation.
Yeah.
Because that crop isn't really natural to that soil, so it requires more nutrient from the soil.
Yeah.
And because it's foreign, it doesn't put back in what it took out. So over time, even if they went back to that crop, they're not going to get the same quality of what the initial crop was, whether it's soy or wheat or what have you.
Yeah, the minerals are stripped out of the land by that time.
And normally how these guys do it is one crop works off another. Mm-hmm. So they'll sit back and work this crop and work the other crop, and the switching of the crops keeps the ground, gives it time to like rebuild itself. But they don't care about that. What they care about is, okay, we got to go to you for grain. We have to go to you for water, natural resources. We're subservient to the European countries. That's what it's all about. So if I get you in debt, now you got to play by our rules. And now you are a debt. We always about being debt slaves as individuals. The money is in being a debt slave as a country. If the country's in debt, there's no way out. It's perpetual, generation after generation. Everybody got to suffer at that particular point. So this is what's happening to our adversaries, even in the fall of Jerusalem. Same scenario. So let's go back. Lamentations 1 and what? Verse 5? Yep.
Her adversaries are the chief. Her enemies prosper. For the Most High hath afflicted her for the multitude of her transgressions. Mm-hmm. Her children are gone into captivity before the enemy.
The children have gone into captivity. The children continue to go into captivity even during the rebuild time. Read on.
And from the daughter of Zion, all her beauty is departed. Her princes are become like harts that find no pasture. And they are gone without strength before the pursuer.
Read on.
Jerusalem remembered in the days of her affliction and her miseries all her pleasant things that she had in the days of old, when her people fell into the hand of the enemy, and none did help her.
The crazy thing is nobody was even caring at this time of Nehemiah about the abductions, about the dead bodies. Nobody cared. Nobody even sat back here just on a basic level. How come none of the other nations sat back and said, listen, man, we got to at least send some military help to assist you guys and give you guys some aid so that your citizens aren't dying. Nobody cared that Israelite lives were dying left and right. The surrounding countries didn't give two you-know-whats about all the numerous homicides and child abductions that was happening in Israel. They just didn't care. They just turned a blind eye because it didn't matter. Keeping them down was more important than solving this issue. Read on.
From the top and continue.
Just continue.
When her people fell into the hand of the enemy, and none did help her. The adversaries saw her and did mock at her Shabbats.
They were mocking at their Sabbaths, mocking at our gatherings. They're sitting back here. You guys are mocking. You guys are coming together in Sabbaths, but you guys have no walls. It don't even make no sense. What the hell is going on? The funny thing is, when Nehemiah later on in these chapters starts organizing Israel, the funny thing is the Samaritans in the country province leaders like, man, the Jew can't come together for nothing. Pretty much, they're not going to accomplish anything. And it's laughable to think that you guys can come together and get something accomplished. Does that sound like us? How many Jews does it take to put in a light bulb out?
No, we come together when it's time to hit the club up.
When it's time to hit the club?
And then we shoot the club up.
Oh, and that's the thing. For those who've been in the club, you hear there's a tumult in the club. You know there's about to be some stuff going down.
Yeah.
Oh, it's time to get out of here. Let's get out of here now. Let's get out of here now. You know it's about to go down. All of a sudden, a chair falls, and some loud voices get going on out. Then you start hearing like a stampede getting out of the area. It's time to get out. You better get the hell out. Anyway. The roaring 20 days when everybody was had energy to be up until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Not no more.
Or like when Sasha One goes into the second generation after the grandparents buy the houses. We get property in family, get familial property.
Don't want to pay no taxes though.
Benefit the next generation. The next generation sells.
The question is this: you know why? Because you'd rather have a car for $400 a month than a fancy car than save your money and pay them taxes. Because that's where it goes to. I gotta get them rims, dog. How much rims cost? Like 3/4 the amount of how much taxes cost. That's what it is, huh?
It's a selfless buy.
Yes, it's
You don't pay your taxes, you just leave that door.
I know that, and then they give you a period of time where you gotta get out.
Yeah.
Then they sit back and open them doors, and they escort you out, and they wait till you get out. So either you leave peaceably, or they're going to get you out, and the person who bought it going to be right there in the corner waiting for you. They're going to sit back. You can sit back and be mad all you want and break toilets. You can sit back here and bust walls up. All they're going to do is bring Issachar in and fix the walls up, change the flooring out, and get them put on the market and make $70,000, $80,000, and you the sucker. That's all they're going to do. They'll spend $15,000 and make $80,000. And you want to sit back and talk about Esau's the system, man. It's the system, man. It's corrupt, man. Okay. Or you could have sat back here and not bought rims and been at the club and buy. How much it costs to buy the bar? How much it costs to buy the bar? You want to floss? You want to sit back here and get VIP alcohol, man?
Well, I want to travel.
You want to get some Belvedere?
Yeah.
Everybody getting Belvedere today, which is gross.
Yeah.
But you get the point. I'm just saying alcohol, okay?
That sounds good. It sounds fancy, but it's trash.
And with the little sparkers, little spark.
The spark.
Like you the boss side. Get out of here, right?
Celebrate. Instead
of sitting back here and investing your money. That's the whole point. But you gonna say something?
No, I'll just agree with that. We have unsustainable focuses.
And like they said, I'm going back to the point about the mocking of our Sabbaths, the mocking of our gatherings. Because they're sitting back here and they mock the fact that we can't come together and get anything accomplished. That's what the mocking is. Israel coming together is laughable. They're going to still be broke. They're going to be crabs in a barrel. They're going to infight. They're going to sit back here and never learn to come together and be selfless.
For anything significant.
But
it's just not significant. We have a constant Crips and Blood came together for Kendrick Lamar.
Yes, right.
That was the most.
So everybody can see walk and do crazy stuff on the stage.
You had athletes, you had gangbangers.
Israel would do that.
Everybody came together. It was celebrated on Juneteenth. They came together in Oakland at the Legacy Center. Black men came together, but it was for a rap battle.
Yeah. It was a victory. It was like a parade. It was celebrating Kendrick Lamar's bop.
Yeah. We don't come together for significant things.
And this is what the nations were saying back then. That's what they were laughing at our gatherings. Yeah. Because they said that you guys are coming together for a Sabbath, but not to sit back and put your wall together. It took a person. You're going to read. They're going to be laughing at Nehemiah. Like, this is oh, you're going to be the guy that gets his wall together? It ain't going to happen. Black unity, those two words don't come together.
True story.
That's what they're saying.
I saw a video.
Black and unity that's not even a real thing.
Listen, I saw a video online the other day.
I'm not even clowning. Listen, why am I here? To help unite our people. But the truth is,
we don't value that.
We don't want it. As a nation, everybody wants to be an individual.
It was crazy. There's this thing.
Because black unity, you know what that really means? Black unity means everybody got to lose their goals and aspirations for a bigger goal.
That's what
black unity means. And nobody wants to do that. Who wants to lose their life so everybody can have a little bit more?
That's selflessness.
You got to lose a lot because there are certain people that are capable of getting more done than others. So you got to stop everything you're doing and all the advantages you can have so that everybody as a nation can have 3 steps more. And who can live with that deal? Most people are too selfish to do that deal.
That's grandma's job.
Because when you sit back and read about Nehemiah got to lose money, funds, resources. His life is threatened constantly so that we can get a wall. The people as a whole have to give up their crops for the season for this move. People don't realize what it takes for the nation to be taken care of. Listen, they had to lose their farming scenarios, their crops, which means they lost a whole year income so that the wall can get done. Who's ready to do that?
Yeah.
Who's ready to sit back here and possibly get evicted or possibly be in such debt that you might not be able to get out of for the cause? Everybody talks about the cause until it's time to lose for the cause. Oh man, I respect what y'all brothers is doing. That's what you're gonna get. You get the respect speech. I respect all the things y'all giving up, dog. I respect it. Then you get the black power fist. Oh, okay, thank you for the fist.
The meme.
Thank you for that one. That's what you get. But when you sit back and find out what it really took, people put it on the line. That's why the nations were laughing at us then, and that's why they laugh at us now. Yeah. You ever see like in the medical center how Elam, they live like 7 to an apartment, man.
Constantly.
Probably worse.
Yeah, across from USA.
Yes, right across from USA. They're all college educated, and they're like 8 or 10 to an apartment, like a 2-bedroom, bro. And they're sucking it up for the bigger picture. And it's for years.
And then they get their gas station. Then they get their hotels or motels.
And they live and work there. And like it's almost like 2 generations got to live a dog shit life so that the 3rd generation can have something. And they're okay with that. You try to get us to do that. As soon as we open a business, we taking all the money. We getting loans. We getting money. We going to blow this money and the business fails within 2 to 3 months.
I know what happened.
Well, within a year. These people, listen, all the people we're talking about, they work tirelessly. I know a couple that was across the street from me. They were renting. The husband and wife worked a Dunkin' Donuts. That was their business. The husband worked the night shift. The wife worked the day shift. And it was like 12 and 12, bro. The husband came home at like 6 a.m. And he's out here smoking cigs, bro.
Cigging.
He just whining. That's his cover. He's outside the garage, smoking cigs and playing his in the garage, He's jamming out in the garage, smoking his cigarettes, bro, and just in another world somewhere. His mind is somewhere else, bro. Winding down. And all we do is this. And he's like, and that's it, And he goes about his thing, he's smoking his cigarettes, and his wife goes to the next shift. They're saving money. They can hire out managers, but can you really make money if you're paying for day shift managers and night shift managers? No. You can't build nothing. And then he's like, yes, I need to get into a gated community so my daughter won't be influenced to do negative things when we're gone at work. I'm like, hey, G, the gated community ain't gonna solve it, bro. You gonna do some dirt. She gonna do some dirt. But that's his thought. That's why he left our place. I gotta go to the gated community. The gate will protect her from these black guys in the street. Like, no, it's not.
You better get.
No, it's not. The gates will not protect her.
Cell phone, those flip phones.
Black guys jump gates.
That's a fact. Listen, so that's not gonna work. That's not gonna solve it. But I respected their dedication. Like this dude's working all night, bro. He comes home, he's zapped. You can just tell he's zapped. And then his wife comes in and knocks out the day shift. They don't even see each other. They are a living sacrifice so that their daughter can have something.
Yep.
That's what unity is. That's what it looks like in real life. You can't sit back here and take pictures with your toes lifted up and the damn what's that damn
Facebook shot?
No, I always go into that pool, like that
infinity pool.
That infinity pool out there with their alcoholic beverage there, saying I'm living a life, I'm vacationing. You ain't getting that and building at the same time.
No.
It's not going to happen. That's not realistic. And I'm only bringing all this out to say this is what the nations understand, and this is why they were mocking us before we completed the wall. Because they already knew that the Jew couldn't come together for nothing. Which lets you know that the ones that call themselves Jews now aren't the chosen ones. They can syndicate anything. And they've been doing it for years. Am I right or wrong? Yeah. If we're going on the nature of people, they said the Jew can't come together for nothing. Now, if you bring that to the 2000s and the 90s and 80s, who can't come together for nothing? The black man can't. So they're talking about crabs in a barrel. Am I right or wrong? Yeah. This is what these Samaritans were saying too. Black men can't come together for nothing. They're going to eat each other up. Yep. You know what's crazy, and I'm going to go into it later on as the weeks go? I mentioned that everybody inside the wall that were putting the wall together, they had to give up their crops for the year, right? So everybody was mounting in debt. Guess what the rich of Israel was doing inside the wall? They were giving them high-ass interest rates, loans. They were exploiting them the fact that everybody sacrificed for the body and was giving everybody high interest loans. And when they couldn't pay it in time, guess what they were doing? They were sending them to slavery.
Predatory loans.
That wasn't just on the white. Oh, the white man is predatory loans. No, we were giving our own people predatory loans, exploiting each other's sacrifice.
Hitting licks.
Nehemiah, man, has said, man, stop this shit. Take off those loans. We're going to sit back here and take all your property away.
They like that.
Okay, we'll give
Shalom,
them. We'll give them a break. Yep. He had to sit back and had the law of damn Artaxerxes keep these guys in order.
Same thing with Ezra.
That's my point.
That's the only thing they feared.
The only thing they feared was the law, getting thrown in jail and getting their property seized. That's how we do. This is why the nation like, man, listen, they're not going to come together. The only thing that keeps us together is the fear of legitimate repercussions coming to us.
You look at that video where Puffy beat
Christ couldn't get everybody locked in.
You look at that video where Puffy beat up Cassie in a hotel elevator.
Yeah.
He said, "I'm sorry, that wasn't like me."
Yeah, right. You got caught. That's just you getting caught.
I was in a dark place.
I was in a dark place.
That's every day's in a dark place.
Yeah. That's only when our little castle starts to collapse, then it matters. But until then, if there's no repercussion, we continue on doing what we're doing.
If there's nobody with greater authority than me keeping me in check, I'm exploit.
Yep.
It goes back into that class months ago where it's like the Most High had to bring nations over us to keep us humble, to keep us in check. Because if we didn't have nations over us, we'd be exploiting Israel 24/7 to greater lengths than our enemies.
It's like Mars Hill, that dude at Mars Hill.
Bro.
So we gotta come together. Okay, cool. We'll come together. We don't all come together. This little garden, Mars Hill, this little garden in the east side.
Well, you gotta explain it. You gotta set the stage a little better. This is Cap on the east side. Why were we out there talking to this guy? Why were we there?
Passing out flyers, bro.
We were passing flyers out or trying to recruit, and there was these like old timers that raised in the city, and they knew the east side, and the older brother was like, "Yeah, man, this isn't us. This is him. We need to sit back here and start some wars and some race wars on the east side." He said some crazy stuff like that. And I was like, the scripture said, wait on me. Wait on the Lord. He says, sometimes sacrifices got to be made. I said, so who going to be the sacrifice? Are you going to go out there and fight these cops? No, I'm not doing it. I was like, so you going to have your young brothers out here getting shot and thrown in jail and ruining their lives? Sacrifices got to be made. I'm like, what are you talking about, huh? You want to create anarchy on the east side. Have the cities ravaged and blown up while you sitting back here like in this mastermind.
Yes, he said somebody got to be in charge. Remember he said that?
Yeah, I was like, can we get the hell out of here? I want to get the hell out of here right there.
What blew me away was
this is some, you know what, N-I, blankety, blankety, blank, S-H-I-T. I like to get out of here.
What blew me away, he said, listen, and we'll get the money. We're going to sell drugs.
Yeah, he said that too.
Blew me away.
I was like, whoa.
And sell drugs to the community. He said we're going to get that dope money and flip that dope money. Like, this is how we gotten. Like, this is how the east side broke down. first place.
You're not Frank Lucas, bro. Can you stop this out? You gonna take Frank Lucas and you gonna bring some Malcolm X mixed with Frank Lucas out?
Yeah, bro.
Mixed with Spook that went across the door out?
Sat at the door out.
Yeah, you want to combine these guys out? You're just watching movies. I can come up with some make believe crap. Oh man, I was like,
drugs to our own people to come up.
And he called it Mars Hill. It was just a block that didn't have property on it. It was a corner block that didn't have a house on it.
It was an empty lot that the city let him have.
No, he didn't let him have. They let the whole community have.
They let him borrow it because he made a little seating area for old folks. So the city let him borrow it without taxes.
But they call it Mars Hill. Mars Hill at the time was a place where all the greatest minds of Rome came together and debated about culture and science. That wasn't where the greatest minds of our people were congregating at.
No, bro.
Get out of here, Al. Why are we bringing up this ridiculous story? Is that our people have these fantasies about unity, but don't want to sacrifice and don't have any logic behind it. And don't want to sacrifice anything behind it. And that's why we have been the laughing stock of the nations, and we are the laughing stock of the nations. This is what this verse is talking about.
Can I say one thing too? And for young people, I was on. You look up Could Have Been Records out. And there's this dude.
Could Have Been Records.
Yeah, Could Have Been Records by a guy named Drewski. This is for young people. A guy named Drewski, Could Have Been Records, and this guy, they had this reunion. It's a reunion, right?
Could Have Been Records.
And then this guy starts fighting out. They start fighting at the reunion, and he was defending another guy because the guy was picking on the guy. But they started fist fighting and boxing, and the dude that was boxing that started the fight. When you look at his hat, he had his own backwards, right? The hat had a fist on it that said Black Love. That was the joke of it.
That's our people.
You're wearing a Black Love hat, promoting unity, but we're fist fighting each other and on camera.
Brother,
at the reunion.
At the reunion.
Yeah, so to speak, right?
We don't know how to come together, bro.
We just don't.
Because we don't put the Most High first.
And exactly. So
because we're opportunists too. We love to get an opportunity or an edge over the next man.
Yeah.
So if we see a weakness, then we're quick to run game on somebody because they're asleep, they're not paying attention. So that thirst to get up is so high in us that we'll step on our own people.
Exactly. And that's the crabs in the barrel mentality.
Yeah.
And this is why the nations didn't mock us at her Sabbaths. Jump to verse 8.
Verse 8. Jerusalem hath grievously sinned. Therefore she is removed. All that honored her despise her, because they have seen her naked.
It's almost like the nations have despised us more because they've seen us weak and vulnerable and broken down. They have even less respect for us now. They had least respect for us even in the time of Nehemiah because we had this broken down wall trying to be spiritual. They're like, you guys don't even have an army, bro. What are you doing? Well, you're going for these Sabbaths and high holy days, and you're acting like you're doing something when you don't even have an entire nation for yourself. You can't even sustain. You're not even self-sustaining. What are you doing? We look like idiots. We look like fools.
And this is what promotes and propels their lack of care when it comes to using extensive police force. Because they say, you know what? Why are you so angry that we kill y'all? Y'all kill yourselves. So why are you tripping about it? Why are you making this a big issue? You want to march and you want to protest. Them same cops go to about 100 homicides a year on average, even on a small city. Some cities are upward to 300 homicides a year, and the majority of our own people. Yeah. But one officer shoot person you want to protest. What about them other 299 people that got killed? That was killed by their own people. That's hypocrisy. So even the police is like, y'all some hypocrites. Y'all don't even care about your own. Now you want to act like y'all matter. But that's the joke. That's the joke. That's the imagery that we put out there. That now all of a sudden we want justice, but we don't do justice to each other though.
Kinda.
It's ridiculous, man.
On multiple levels.
Yeah.
Kinda. So he says the more that the nations see our weakness, the more they mock us. Read on. Yea, she. Saya. Just read verse 8 again.
All right, Jerusalem hath grievously sinned. Therefore she is removed. All that honored her despise her, because they have seen her nakedness. Yea, she sighed and turneth backward.
Read on.
Her filthiness is in her skirts. She remembered not her last end. Therefore she came down wonderfully.
It was a major fall when we fell. Read on.
She had no comforter. O Yahweh, behold my affliction, for the enemy hath magnified himself.
Exactly. The nations all around us have taken our fall and have magnified themselves and uplifted themselves economically, and all levels have been more superior to us, besides our belief in the Most High.
Yeah.
But they're superior to us in an army, a military, everything. It's the same thing happening now. Happened back then. Read on. They understood how to play ball with the nations and kings above us. Everybody else understood to pay your tributary, pay your debts, learn how to get in political offices and position yourself in a place where you can go take care of your people. All of it. Listen, what we do is we sit back here and posture ourselves in political offices and turn our back on our people.
That's what we do the most. All these mayors, all these governors out, what have they done?
For our people.
And the cities where, I hate to say it, but the cities that are, you got these black mayors out, it is a random house over there.
Yeah.
Chicago, Detroit, it's bad.
It's just bribe city. But versus sitting back here, and if you were going to get in office, actually do something for your people.
Yeah.
To give them opportunities. To stabilize the environment.
It's about my opportunity, about my household, about my family, about my money. Like the rich, like the wealthy did with their own people. We had to finance the walls. We had people that could get some financing for the walls.
The rich could have been did that. They could have came, the rich princes.
They're extractors.
And they could have came together and just started working it in portions over the years. They just didn't feel the need to.
You look at Mayor Kirkpatrick years ago in Detroit, who once he made it to mayor, he was throwing parties with strippers in the governor's mansion. You know what I'm saying? And some of them end up dead. One of them ended up dead in the party. But he was using campaign money, campaign dollars, just for the purpose of throwing parties. It wasn't about changing the culture, changing the issues in Detroit.
Yep.
It was about using that position to have a good time.
Bro.
Yeah. They call him the player mayor, right?
I don't know what they call him. I just know it was bad. He ended up fleeing Detroit when he started getting put up on charges. He ended up fleeing Detroit and moving down to Dallas, and brought his family down to Dallas to flee Detroit.
Yeah, they wanted his head.
Yep.
Well, let's continue. Let's just at least get to verse 11. I don't know if we have time to go through all of it. Continue. Verse 10, I think.
Verse 10. The adversary hath spread out his hand upon all her pleasant things.
So the adversary is taking everything that was good that was left in Jerusalem and making it theirs. The children, the people, whatever is good and whatever items were still of value, they were taken. Read on.
For she hath seen that the heathen entered into her sanctuary, whom thou didst command that they should not enter into thy congregation.
Mm-hmm.
All her people sigh.
All of Israel at this time were sighing. Read on.
They seek bread.
There's a lot of poverty still in the city. How can you make any money and build anything with no water protection? All of Israel was lacking and seeking bread. Read on.
They give their pleasant things for meat to relieve the soul. See, O Yahweh, and consider, for I am become vile.
So let this go. There's more, but we don't need to go into that. Let's continue in Nehemiah.
Dimension of the nation.
That's just how we've diminished.
I love in this scripture how it shows the nations went into the sanctuary and stripped the walls of gold, of copper, of silver, pull all the candlesticks. The nations have constantly robbed the sanctuary. And after the sanctuary is diminished, we're going to rob the people.
Yep. Now, at this particular point, the sanctuary was reestablished. So the elites took care of that. And they took care of their positioning. But everybody else is hurting. The people who are getting spoiled are the poor. Like always. People who can't fight back.
The injustice.
This is why the Most High had to have Nehemiah rise up to help defend the poor in the first place. Because the people in Israel had the power and the resources to fix it. They just weren't going to do it. Because it wasn't advantageous cost-wise to do. There was no benefit to do. But anyway, let's go back to Nehemiah and at least get through this chapter 1. Read verse 7. Or verse 6. Yes, read 6.
Let thine ear now be attentive, and thine eyes open, that thou mayest hear the prayer of thy servant, which I pray before thee now, day and night, for the children of Israel, thy servants, and confess the sins of the children of Israel, which have sinned against thee. Both I and my father's house have sinned. We have dealt very corruptly against thee.
And the fact that he even acknowledges his sins in the midst of this prayer shows humility. He wasn't in Jerusalem, but he's like, listen, our people as a nation have fallen, so we all have to sit back and acknowledge our sins as a unit to get back right. Read on.
We have dealt very corruptly against thee, and have not kept the commandments, nor the statutes, nor the judgments, which thou commandest thy servant Moses. Remember, I beseech thee, the word that thou commandest thy servant Moses, saying, if ye transgress, I will scatter you abroad among the nations. But if ye turn unto me, and keep my commandments, and do them, there were of you cast out unto the uttermost part of the heaven.
He says, though there were of you cast out unto the uttermost part of the heaven. What he's saying is, listen, if we come back and turn from our negative ways, there is redemption that's possible. Read on.
Yet will I gather them from thence, and will bring them unto the place that I have chosen to set my name there.
Well, he's letting us know. Go to Deuteronomy 30, verse 1 through 3. What he just said is he was quoting Deuteronomy. He's just letting us know, listen, man, it's not doom and gloom forever. If we all come together and we're humble, the Most High will sit back here and pull us out of this condition.
Spiritual death.
Con. So read that, Deuteronomy 30, verse 1 through 3.
And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whether the Most High thy power hath driven thee.
This is how you know this was a straight prophecy. He said you're going to experience the blessings of Deuteronomy 28 and the cursings of Deuteronomy 28. Read on.
And shalt return unto the Most High thy power, and shalt obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children with all thine heart and with all thy soul. And then the Most High thy power will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, whether the Most High thy power hath scattered thee.
And Nehemiah is like, if we just come together to the Most High, humbly beseech ourselves for the Lord, he will change our situation.
Yep.
Okay.
And you can grab one scripture. Yeah. Psalms 115, verse 1 through 3.
Psalms 115. Not unto us, O Yahweh, not unto us.
So this is what David's praying also. He says, don't let this condition be with us. He said, not unto us. Read on.
But unto thy name give glory.
He says, but at least do it for your name. Read on.
For thy mercy and for thy truth's sake.
Go ahead.
Wherefore should the heathen say, where is now their power?
So if the mockery that we get is the fact that we cannot unify, and it's also for the fact that the Most High has disembarked from us as a power, that we have no protector, and we have no one to uphold our safety, and we have no one to take care of the things that we look for to be taken care of. The nations know when and why the Most High abandons us. They know it. They know all they have to do is get us to sin. Once our hands are polluted and we sin, the Most High is detached from us. And they love it that way. They love to have us sinning. And that's why they keep the pork in the community. That's why they keep the gangbanging in the community. That's why they keep all these things in the community. Because they know as long as you're sinning, the Most High will leave you undefended.
They got a pack.
Yeah, they got a pack.
You gotta explain what the pack is.
A pack is what these Ishmaelite and Elamite stores, corner store owners sell to our people. It's a rose. It's a glass hand blown rose that looks like a figurine or
paraphernalia pipe, right?
Well, no, it looks like a gift that you would give to somebody because it's a hand blown ornate decorative rose made out of glass. But when you break it open, it's actually a crack pipe that has the rose on top and a stem, and the stem is the pipe.
This is on the east side.
This is on the east side.
San Antonio.
So it's crack paraphernalia disguised as hand-blown glass, as if it's a gift or what you call it,
it's an ornament that you can keep in your house.
Yeah, but when you see what it is once you take it apart, and then it comes with a lighter.
Now, what kind of rose do you need?
What kind of glass rose, hand-blown glass rose that you need to give to somebody that comes with its own lighter. So that's why they call it a pack. On the streets, they call it a pack because you get the pipe and the lighter at the same time.
So all you gotta do is score. You gotta score, and you're good.
Well, the guy behind the corner store already got what you're looking for, because there's always one of our people who got what goes in that rose, sitting on the side of the store.
Kinda.
But that's what Dawiyah is bringing out. But if they get us to sin, keeping our hands polluted, then they know that the Most High is no longer with us. Read on.
Wherefore should the heathen say, Where is now their power?
And the heathen love it when we sin, because they can throw it in our face. Where is your God?
Yep.
You don't have your God with you. So therefore, we don't have anything to fear.
We keep exploiting.
As long as you don't have your God, you're vulnerable to our vices and whatever we want to bring to you.
Remember our old location, brother? Morning, noon, and night. The store next door, the liquor store next door. They were pulling our door. We think we had some new students. They're like,
yeah.
Oh, this is a Bible school. I'm in the wrong place. And they go right next door to the liquor store. They're drunk at like 6 in the morning, 5 in the morning, 8 in the morning. I'm sorry, 8, 9 in the morning. They're drunk.
Yeah.
They're blasted out. They're pulling our door.
They're at the liquor store before the liquor store opened.
Yeah,
waiting.
They're the first one waiting. And it's like they got non-stop business right there off
Don's and Ben's
off of Houston.
Don and Ben's liquor.
Yeah. Now, no, we know alcohol's not illegal, but the excessiveness and the intensity of the drinking up, they can always extract resources off people's dysfunction in our community.
Right. And then some of the alcoholics that were there on a daily basis, that were known alcoholics, not just calling them alcoholics, they lived the life of alcoholics, and they admitted that, they had drinking problems. They actually came to our class because they came to the wrong door by accident. Mm-hmm. And we end up inviting them in, and they end up sitting in class, and they end up telling us why they became alcoholics. And a lot of brothers that had houses, did have jobs, had careers, couldn't handle divorce.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? We had the brother that was the brother did 25 years at a restaurant. He actually collected his pension.
Yeah.
But he lived on the street because he couldn't handle the sorrow of losing his wife. Mm. And he became, you know what I'm saying? So I forgot the brother's name. Charles. The brother's name was Charles.
Yeah, the one he sleep under the tree.
He was sleeping under the tree. He got beat up by sleeping.
That was the story.
Yeah, somebody beat him up sleeping under the tree. But when you look at the conditions of our people, they just couldn't handle and navigate through everyday problems. And so because of it, they were detached from the Most High. They fell into alcohol. They fall into drugs as a coping mechanism. But a lot of it is the fact that we're disconnected from the Father. And that's what the nations want. And they exploit us when that happens. Read on. Read
our
verse.
Power is in.
It said read verse 2. Read verse 2 one more time.
2. Wherefore should the heathen say?
It said, David said, man, I don't want to ever hear the heathen say what?
Where is now their power?
Because the heathens love it when we're disconnected from our power. Because now we're vulnerable to whatever comes our way. Read on.
But our power is in the heavens.
But David said our power is where?
In the heavens.
So our power is, that's why we serve a God in faith. He said our power is in the heavens. Read on.
He hath done whatsoever he hath pleased.
And the Most High is doing what he pleased. And so what is the Most High's pleasure? If we sin, we pay the ultimate price as a nation of people. And that's the Most High's way of dealing with us. But it doesn't have to be that way if we decide to make a change and come back and make a commitment to serve the Most High and serve his law, statutes, and commandments. Same thing that Nehemiah is saying right here in chapter 1. You let that go.
Okay, let's read verse 10.
Nehemiah?
Yes, sir.
Nehemiah chapter 1 and verse 10. Now, these are thy servants and thy people, whom thou hast redeemed by thy great power, and by thy strong hand. O Yahweh, I beseech thee, let now thine ear be attentive to the prayer of thy servant, and to the prayer of thy servants, who desire to fear thy name, and prosper, I pray thee, thy servant this day, and grant him mercy in the sight of this man, for I was the king's cupbearer.
So what he's saying is, what he's about to do He's like, grant me mercy. I'm about to sit back here and ask the King Artaxerxes if he can help finance our rebuild of the temple.
Which can be offensive.
So he's like, and we're going to read, he's like, listen, please be with me and have mercy on me while I make this move in faith to look after my people. Because he was the only guy at the time with the means and the willingness and humility to step up and advocate for our people. Because that's a real issue amongst Israel. A lot of us might have the skill, but a lot of us don't want to advocate and put their life on the line and risk it all so that Israel can get that other opportunity.
I might lose my position.
Yes, that's what he's risking. He's risking losing his position. He's risking life, death. He's going to explain in chapter 2 that how things went down. The king could have looked at it sideways and executed him for his request. But we're already at almost 2 hours. It's almost 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't want to go on to chapter 2 because it's a whole another process. So we're going to stop at that unless anybody has a question.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So when the higher ups were they were committing usury, well, isn't that against Levitical law?
Yes.
How would they continue to get away with it without people?
Well, go to Exodus chapter 22, verse 25.
It was like it's about people. If people don't have the money and the resources, they're going to sit back and give in. Don't forget the princes and the kings. The chapter always going to pull the verse, but the princes and the kings, they ruled the roost, and they had the power, and people they were doing exploitative loans in the time of Jerusalem.
So the priests had to cry out and check them like
they were in on the deal. It was no different than with the Corbin. The priests were sitting back here and getting portions of land from the people. They just had to be left off the hook and not get chastised for taking advantage of their fathers and mothers. Listen, they were getting kickbacks. The priests were getting kickbacks for the deal. So they turned a blind eye. That's the hustle.
Bribes, huh?
Bribes. I won't look at what you're doing. You take care of me. I won't check you on what you're doing. And everybody's happy. What you got something for?
Read that.
Exodus 22 and 25.
I'm typing in.
If thou lend money to any of my people.
It said what?
If thou lend money to any of my people.
Borrowing money is a big deal amongst Israel, bro. Yeah, man. Borrowing, period. Even if it ain't money, it could be anything. It could be shoes, shirt, clothes, music, whatever it is. When you borrow something, it's a big deal amongst our people. But there's an appropriate way to do everything, even when it comes to borrowing. Read on.
Thou shalt not be to him as an usurer.
It says you are not supposed to be like what to your people?
A usurer.
Because this is what the nations do. The nations lend you something, or you pawn something with collateral. Although you may pawn something, that item that you pawn supposed to be the collateral. But that's not it. If you want that item in return, you got to pay for what they gave you in exchange for that item, plus interest. This is what banks do. This is what the nations do. This is how you exploit somebody. This is how you gain profit over your own people. And you got to close the door. You got to close the door. Sis,
Still filming.
You got to close the door. Class still going on. So he said that you still got it. You can't do what?
Thou shalt not be to him as an usurer.
He says, thou shalt not be unto him as a what?
Usurer.
As a usurer. This is somebody who looks to gain an advantage over what you borrow. You know, I want more in return versus for what I gave in exchange. Read on.
Neither shalt thou lay upon him usury.
And now neither shall thou lay upon him what?
Usury.
Usury, that's interest. You never lend to your people and then expect it in return with interest. Well, you know, I loaned you 200, brother. I need 250 back because you made me wait. So for making me wait, I could have did something with that 200.
Yeah.
So now you owe me 50 more because I lost. You know, I had a late fee on my bills.
What am I finna give
you? I had to pay a late fee because I lent you some money.
God.
So now I need more in return. So what we want to do is get the upper hand versus looking out for the sake of our people. That's not enough to just look out for the person and make sure I pay that person back. Because there's laws in borrowing on both sides. It's not in the best interest of the person that's giving the loan to charge usury. That's a sin. And also it's not for the person to never pay back the person you borrow from. Just because you know that the year of Jubilee is approaching.
Yeah, the year of release.
The year of release.
Can't wait. I got a couple more months. It'll be year of release anyway.
Yeah, you'll be good anyway. We'll call it evil. We'll call it evil. The Most High's going to call it evil.
Yeah.
So he's showing you how, it is against the law, to answer your question. And that's inappropriate behavior when it comes to how we should deal in a society. That's what keeps everybody, in good standings. Why make, if a person has a need to borrow something, why would I want to make it harder for them to pay back by adding on some usury? Obviously, they're already in a pinch.
Right.
Obviously, they're already underwater. Obviously, their situation is already dire to where they're coming to me to borrow. Why would I want to make it harder on them by adding some additional interest on top?
It's about me.
Because it's about me. It's about, I don't want to lose, like a war brought out a minute ago. I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose anything. So with that, any other questions? Any other questions? Any other questions? All right, we're gonna go ahead and send up prayers to the Most High. To water everybody online for watching. Shabbat Shalom. Hope everybody does well. And hope everybody does well. And have a good Sabbath. The water for watching online. We'll see you back in action on Monday. Most High willing. All praise to the Most High. Shout out and shalom.
Shalom.
Did you cut him off?
Not yet.
No.